The baby shower decorations looked perfect. Pink and white balloons clustered in every corner of the venue, and the gift table overflowed with presents wrapped in pastel paper. Simone Andrews smoothed down her emerald green dress and forced herself to smile as she watched her childhood best friend Rachel open another onesie. This should have been a happy occasion. Rachel deserved all the joy in the world. But Simone couldn't shake the knot in her stomach that had formed the moment she walked through the door and spotted him across the room. Trevor Hayes. Her ex-husband. The man who had promised her forever and delivered 7 years of mediocrity followed by betrayal. He stood near the refreshment table with his hand possessively placed on the lower back of a woman Simone recognized from the divorce proceedings. Candace Porter. The woman Trevor had been sleeping with for the last year of their marriage. Now, 7 months after the divorce was finalized, Candace's belly protruded obviously beneath her fitted red maternity dress. The timeline made Simone's stomach turn every time she did the math. "Simone, come here." Rachel called out from her throne of presence, her face glowing with the kind of happiness that only expectant mothers seem to radiate. "Help me organize all these adorable clothes." Simone moved toward her friend, grateful for the distraction. She knelt beside Rachel's chair and began folding tiny socks and arranging them by color. The simple task kept her hands busy and her eyes away from Trevor's corner of the room. "I'm sorry he's here," Rachel whispered, leaning close so only Simone could hear. "Brandon invited him before I knew Candace was coming. I thought about uninviting them, but—" "It's fine," Simone said, though her jaw hurt from clenching it. "It's your day. I'm not going to let him ruin it." Rachel squeezed her hand. "You're stronger than anyone I know." The words should have felt comforting, but they just reminded Simone how exhausted she was from being strong. For 7 months she'd been strong. Strong through the divorce proceedings when Trevor's lawyer tried to claim she'd driven him away with her career ambitions. Strong through moving into her small one-bedroom apartment after selling the house they'd shared. Strong through every pitying look from former mutual friends who'd chosen sides. She was tired of being strong. "Ladies and gentlemen," Rachel's husband Brandon announced from the front of the room, tapping a spoon against his glass. "Before we move on to games, I just want to say a few words about the amazing woman who's about to make me a father." Simone stood and moved toward the back of the room, wanting to give Rachel and Brandon their moment without her emotional baggage weighing it down. She found a spot near the wall where she could see but remain relatively hidden. The last thing she needed was more attention. Brandon's speech was sweet and genuine, full of inside jokes that made Rachel blush and everyone else laugh. Simone found herself smiling for real this time, happy that at least someone she loved was getting their fairy tale ending. Rachel deserved it. Not everyone got betrayed by the person they trusted most. The speech ended to applause and cheers. Guests began mingling again, conversations filling the room with a pleasant hum. Simone thought she might make it through the rest of the event without incident. She should have known better. Well, look who decided to show up solo again." The voice came from behind her, slick with false charm. "Trevor." Simone's shoulders tensed, but she didn't turn around. Maybe if she ignored him, he'd go away. She focused on the decorative banner hanging across the far wall, counting the letters silently. "Rude to ignore someone talking to you, Simone." Trevor moved around to face her, Candace at his side with one hand resting on her pregnant belly like a trophy. "We were just commenting on how sad it is to see you here alone. Again." Simone met his eyes then, those brown eyes she'd once thought were warm but now recognized as shallow. "Hello, Trevor." "Candace." "Simone," Candace said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You look nice. That dress is very bold." The implication was clear. Too bold. Too much. Too trying. Simone had heard it all before during her marriage, usually phrased as concern. "You might not want to wear that to the company dinner, honey. It's a bit much." Trevor had been excellent at making her doubt herself. "Thank you," Simone said evenly. "Congratulations on the baby." "Thank you." Candace's face lit up with genuine excitement now. "We're so thrilled. Trevor is going to be an amazing father. He's so attentive and caring, always thinking about our future." The irony wasn't lost on Simone. Trevor had spent their entire marriage saying he wasn't ready for kids, that they should wait, that Simone's career was too demanding to add children to the mix. Now here he was 6 months away from fatherhood with the woman he cheated with. "I'm sure you'll both be very happy," Simone said, starting to move away. Trevor stepped into her path. "You know, Simone, I've been thinking about you lately." "How nice." Her voice came out flat, emotionless. "No, really. I feel bad about how things ended. I mean, you threw away 7 years over one mistake. That's pretty harsh." Simone felt her fingers curl into fists at her sides. One mistake. He called a year-long affair one mistake. The nights he came home late smelling like perfume. The secret phone calls. The credit card charges at restaurants she'd never been to. All of it condensed into one mistake, as if he'd accidentally spilled coffee on her favorite shirt. I didn't throw anything away, Simone said quietly. You did that all by yourself. See, that's your problem. Trevor leaned closer, his cologne overwhelming in its intensity. You never could take responsibility for your part in things. You were always working, always putting your career first. What was I supposed to do? I'm a man with needs. Several guests nearby had stopped their conversations, attention drifting toward the confrontation. Simone felt heat rising in her cheeks, but she refused to cause a scene at Rachel's baby shower. She would not give Trevor that satisfaction. I need to go help Rachel, she said, trying once more to step around him. Candace giggled, the sound grating against Simone's nerves. Oh honey, we're not trying to be mean. We actually worry about you. It's been 7 months? And you're still single. No dates, no prospects. Trevor was just saying the other day how sad it is that you're probably going to end up alone. That's enough, Simone said, her voice harder now. No, hear me out, Trevor said, holding up his hands in mock surrender. I'm coming from a good place here. You're 32? 33? Your biological clock is ticking, Simone. And let's be honest, you're not getting any younger. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to find someone willing to take you on. Take me on? Simone repeated, her voice dangerously soft. Like I'm some kind of project? Some damaged goods. I didn't say that. But Trevor's smirk said otherwise. I'm just being realistic. You're a divorced woman in your 30s with a demanding career. That's not exactly what most men are looking for. Add in your intensity, and well, the dating pool gets pretty shallow. Candace touched Trevor's arm, her expression one of exaggerated sympathy. We really do hope you find someone eventually. It must be so lonely living in that tiny apartment all by yourself. Trevor told me about it. Only one bedroom? That's basically a studio. Simone felt something crack inside her chest. The apartment was small, yes, but it was hers. She'd chosen every piece of furniture, painted every wall, created a space that felt like home for the first time in years. And they were mocking it. Mocking her. At least I'm not raising a baby with a man who couldn't stay faithful to save his life, Simone said, her voice low and controlled despite the rage burning through her veins. Trevor's smirk vanished. Careful, Simone. Your bitterness is showing. This is exactly why you're still single. No man wants to deal with this kind of attitude. Is there a problem here? Rachel's voice cut through the tension like ice water. She'd waddled over from her chair, one hand on her belly and her expression fierce despite her advanced pregnancy. Brandon stood beside her, his face tight with disapproval. No problem, Trevor said quickly, his charming mask sliding back into place. Just catching up with my ex-wife. Old times and all that. Simone. Rachel looked at her friend with concern. I'm fine, Simone said, though her hands were shaking. Actually, I think I need some air. You don't have to leave, Rachel said, shooting a glare at Trevor. They can leave. No, really. I have a headache coming on. Simone forced a smile. I'll call you tomorrow. Thank you for inviting me. She grabbed her purse from where she'd left it on a chair and headed for the exit, ignoring the whispers that followed her. She knew what people would say. Poor Simone. So bitter. Can't even be happy at a baby shower. No wonder Trevor left her. Let them talk. She was done caring what anyone thought. The venue's lobby was blissfully quiet after the noise of the party. Simone leaned against the wall for a moment, trying to compose herself before facing the outside world. Her reflection stared back at her from a decorative mirror across the lobby. She looked tired. Defeated. No husband yet. Trevor's words echoed in her head. Probably going to end up alone. Simone closed her eyes, refusing to let the tears fall. She wouldn't cry over Trevor Hayes. She wouldn't give him that power over her anymore. He'd taken 7 years of her life. He didn't get her tears too. The elevator dinged, announcing its arrival. Simone straightened up, squared her shoulders and walked toward it with her head high. She might be leaving early. She might be going home to that tiny one-bedroom apartment alone. But at least she was free of Trevor and his poisonous words. At least, that's what she told herself as the elevator doors closed and she finally let one tear slip down her cheek. The lobby felt suffocating now, like the walls were closing in. Simone pressed the button for the ground floor repeatedly, willing the elevator to move faster. When the doors finally opened to the street level, She practically ran into the late afternoon sunshine. The venue was located in the upscale district of the city, surrounded by boutique shops and expensive restaurants. Simone started walking, not really caring where she was going, just needing to move. Her heels clicked against the sidewalk, the rhythm almost meditative. Probably going to end up alone. The words kept replaying, each repetition like a knife twist. The worst part was the small voice in the back of her mind that wondered if Trevor was right. 7 months. 7 months of carefully rebuilding her life, and what did she have to show for it? A small apartment, a decent job that paid the bills but wasn't exactly setting the world on fire, and a social life that consisted mainly of grocery shopping and Netflix. She tried dating. One awkward coffee date set up by a well-meaning coworker. The guy had seemed nice enough until he spent 45 minutes talking about his ex-wife and how she destroyed his ability to trust women. Simone had excused herself to the restroom and seriously considered climbing out the window. After that, she deleted all the dating apps. She told herself she needed time to heal, to figure out who she was outside of being someone's wife. But maybe she was just scared. Scared of being hurt again. Scared of making another mistake. Scared of proving Trevor right. Watch out. Simone looked up just in time to see a man directly in her path. She tried to stop, but her heel caught on an uneven piece of sidewalk. She stumbled forward, arms flailing, and crashed directly into a solid chest. Strong hands caught her arms, steadying her before she could hit the ground. Whoa, easy there. You okay? Simone looked up into the face of a stranger. He was tall, well over 6 feet, with rich brown skin and close-cropped black hair. His eyes were the color of honey, warm and concerned as they studied her face. He wore an expensive-looking navy suit that probably cost more than Simone's monthly rent. "I'm so sorry," Simone said, stepping back quickly and smoothing down her dress. "I wasn't paying attention." "No harm done." The man smiled, and Simone noticed the way it transformed his whole face from merely handsome to genuinely beautiful. "Though I'm concerned about whatever has you so distracted you're willing to tackle strangers on the sidewalk." Despite everything, Simone felt a small laugh escape. Just a bad day. Must be pretty bad if you're fleeing the scene in designer heels. He gestured to her feet. Those don't exactly look built for speed. Simone glanced down at her emerald pumps, the ones she'd bought specifically for Rachel's shower because she'd wanted to feel confident and put together. Now they just felt ridiculous. Everything felt ridiculous. "They're not," she admitted. "But sometimes you just need to get away from something, comfort be damned." The man's expression shifted, becoming more serious. "I know that feeling well. I'm Isaiah, by the way. Isaiah Bennett." He extended his hand and Simone shook it automatically. "Simone Andrews." "Well, Simone Andrews, I was just heading to grab some coffee at that cafe across the street. Would you care to join me? You look like you could use a friendly ear, and I happen to have some time to kill before my next meeting." Every instinct told Simone to decline. She didn't know this man. He could be anyone. Besides, she looked terrible. Her eyes were probably red from holding back tears, and her carefully applied makeup had likely smudged. But something in Isaiah's expression made her pause. There was no pity there, no judgment. Just genuine kindness and an offer of company when she desperately needed to not be alone with her thoughts. "You know what?" Simone found herself saying. "That actually sounds perfect." Isaiah's smile returned, brightening the whole street. "Excellent. Fair warning though, I have strong opinions about coffee. This might get controversial." As they crossed the street toward the cafe, Simone felt the weight on her chest lighten just a fraction. Maybe Trevor was right. Maybe she would end up alone. But right now, in this moment, she was having coffee with a stranger who'd shown her more kindness in 5 minutes than her ex-husband had in years. That had to count for something. The cafe was one of those modern places with exposed brick walls and hanging plants that Instagram influencers loved. Simone normally avoided these trendy spots, preferring the quiet comfort of her neighborhood coffee shop where the barista knew her order by heart. But Isaiah walked in like he owned the place, which, given the deference the staff showed him, he might actually have. "Mr. Bennett," the young man behind the counter said, his face lighting up. "Your usual?" "Please, James." "And whatever the lady would like." Isaiah turned to Simone with a questioning look. Simone scanned the menu board quickly. "Just a vanilla latte, please." "Medium." "Vanilla?" Isaiah raised an eyebrow. "Playing it safe? Is there something wrong with vanilla?" Simone felt oddly defensive. "Nothing at all. I'm just a man who believes coffee should taste like coffee, not a dessert." But he was smiling as he said it, taking any sting out of the words. They found a table near the window, away from the handful of other customers scattered throughout the cafe. Simone set her purse on the chair beside her and folded her hands on the table, suddenly unsure what to say. What did you talk about with a stranger who'd witnessed your near panic attack on the sidewalk? So, Isaiah said, leaning back in his chair with an ease Simone envied. Want to talk about what sent you running into me, or should we stick to safer topics like the weather and traffic? The weather sounds good, Simone said, managing a weak smile. Fair enough. I respect a person's right to privacy. Isaiah accepted his black coffee from James with a nod of thanks. Though I should warn you, I'm told I'm a very good listener. Comes with the territory of running a company. You end up hearing a lot of problems. You run a company? Bennett Industries. We do tech consulting, mainly for Fortune 500 companies looking to streamline their operations. He said it casually, like he was describing a hobby instead of what Simone suspected was a multimillion-dollar business. It's boring stuff to anyone not in the industry. Trust me, you don't want details. Simone accepted her latte from James, wrapping her hands around the warm cup. The simple heat felt grounding. I work in marketing for a mid-sized firm. Nothing exciting. We mainly handle local business accounts. Do you enjoy it? The question surprised her. Most people asked what she did, not whether she liked doing it. It's fine. It pays the bills. Lets me be independent. That's not really an answer, Isaiah pointed out gently. I asked if you enjoy it. Simone took a sip of her latte, buying time. The truth was she didn't enjoy it. She'd taken the job right out of college because it was available and seemed respectable. Then she'd stayed because Trevor liked the steady paycheck and predictable hours. After the divorce, she'd kept it because change felt too overwhelming on top of everything else. No, she finally admitted. I don't really enjoy it. But enjoyment feels like a luxury at this point in my life. Isaiah's expression softened. Ah, so we're having one of those afternoons. The kind where everything feels heavy and you're just trying to get through. Something like that. Simone found herself relaxing slightly despite her intention to keep this conversation surface level. Sorry? You invited me for coffee, not to be my therapist. I invited you for coffee because you looked like you needed a friend, even if just for 20 minutes. Isaiah took a long drink of his coffee, then set the cup down with deliberate care. And because I recognize that look in your eyes. The one that says you've been strong for so long that you're not sure how much longer you can hold it together. Simone felt tears prick at her eyes again. She blinked them away furiously. I just left my best friend's baby shower early because my ex-husband and his pregnant girlfriend decided to corner me and give me unsolicited life advice. Let me guess. They're worried about you. They just want you to be happy. They're saying this because they care. Isaiah's voice dripped with sarcasm. How did you know? Because people like that always use the same playbook. They dress up cruelty as concern, then act surprised when you're hurt by it. Isaiah leaned forward, his elbows on the table. What did he say? Simone hesitated. She barely knew this man. But something about his directness, his complete lack of judgment, made the words pour out. He said I'm going to end up alone. That I'm too old, too divorced, too career-focused. That no man wants to take on someone like me. She laughed, but it came out bitter. The funny part is I thought I was doing okay. 7 months post-divorce and I have my own place, a job, friends. But he made me feel like all of that is worthless because I'm not in a relationship. Your ex-husband sounds like a prize jerk, Isaiah said flatly. The bluntness startled a real laugh out of Simone. That's one way to put it. Let me tell you something, Simone. I'm 42 years old. I've built a company from nothing, I have more money than I know what to do with, and I've been on the cover of Forbes twice. He paused. And my mother still tells me I'm a failure because I'm not married with kids. Seriously? Dead serious. Last Thanksgiving, she seated me at the kids' table because, and I quote, if you're going to act like a child about settling down, you can sit with the children. Isaiah shook his head, smiling at the memory. I'm the CEO of a billion-dollar company and I ate turkey next to my 8-year-old nephew. Despite herself, Simone giggled. That's kind of funny. It's hilarious in hindsight. In the moment, I wanted to disappear into the mashed potatoes. Isaiah's expression turned serious again. My point is, people will always have opinions about your life choices. Family, friends, ex-spouses. They'll tell you what you should be doing, who you should be with, how you should live. And none of it matters. It feels like it matters, Simone said quietly. I know. But that's just noise, Simone. Static. The only opinion that actually matters is yours. He finished his coffee and set the empty cup aside. You want to know what I see when I look at you? I see a woman who had the strength to leave a marriage that wasn't serving her. A woman who rebuilt her life in 7 months. A woman who showed up to support her friend even though she knew it would be uncomfortable. That's not someone who's failing. That's someone who's succeeding in all the ways that actually count. Simone felt something loosen in her chest, like a knot she hadn't realized was there suddenly coming undone. You got all that from a 5-minute conversation? I'm very perceptive. Isaiah's eyes twinkled. Also, I've been where you are. Different circumstances, but the same feeling of being judged and found wanting by people who should matter but really don't. What happened with you? Isaiah was quiet for a moment, his fingers drumming against the table. I was engaged once. 10 years ago. Beautiful woman, smart, funny. Everything I thought I wanted. She left me 3 weeks before the wedding because I was, quote, married to my job and not emotionally available enough for a real relationship. Ouch. Yeah. It hurt like hell at the time. But looking back, she was right. I was building the company and I put everything into it. I didn't have space in my life for a real partnership. He met Simone's eyes. The difference is she just left. She didn't hang around making snide comments about my life choices. She certainly didn't show up at my best friend's engagement party with a new fiancé just to rub my face in it. So you're saying my ex is worse than your ex? Significantly worse. Mine at least had the decency to make a clean break. Isaiah glanced at his watch, then seemed to think better of whatever he was about to say. Look, I know I'm a complete stranger and you have no reason to trust my judgment. But can I offer you some completely unsolicited advice? At this point, why not? Your ex-husband is a small man trying to make himself feel bigger by making you feel smaller. The best revenge isn't finding a new relationship or proving him wrong. It's living well. Building a life you actually enjoy. Finding work that fulfills you. Creating a circle of people who lift you up instead of tearing you down. Isaiah's voice was gentle but firm. You don't need a man to validate your existence, Simone. You need to validate yourself. The words should have sounded preachy, but somehow they didn't. Maybe because Isaiah seemed to actually mean them, not just saying what he thought she wanted to hear. That's easier said than done, Simone admitted. Most worthwhile things are. Isaiah stood, smoothing down his suit jacket. I really do have to get to that meeting now. But I'm glad I ran into you. Or rather, that you ran into me. Simone stood as well, feeling oddly reluctant to end this conversation. When was the last time she talked to someone who actually listened? Who didn't try to fix her or judge her or tell her what she should be feeling? Thank you, she said. For the coffee and the conversation. I needed both more than I realized. Isaiah pulled out his wallet and extracted a business card. Here. I mean it when I say I'm a good listener. If you ever need someone to vent to who won't judge you or give you platitudes, call me. Or email. Or show up at my office and tackle me again. Whatever works. Simone took the card, studying the embossed text. Isaiah Bennett, CEO, Bennett Industries. A phone number and email address. I might take you up on that. I hope you do. Isaiah headed toward the door, then paused and turned back. Oh, and Simone? That ex-husband of yours? He's going to regret losing you. Not because you'll find someone better, though I suspect you will. But because you're going to find yourself, and that's infinitely more valuable. He left before Simone could respond, disappearing into the crowd of pedestrians outside the cafe window. She stood there for a long moment, card in hand, feeling like something had shifted in her world. Her phone buzzed in her purse. A text from Rachel. Are you okay? Please call me when you get home. Trevor is a jerk and I'm sorry. Love you. Simone smiled and typed back. I'm good. Actually better than good. We'll call you tonight. Enjoy the rest of your party. She gathered her things and headed for the door, but not before tucking Isaiah's card carefully into her purse. She probably wouldn't call him. This was probably just a nice moment with a kind stranger, nothing more. But as she stepped back out onto the street, heading toward the subway station this time instead of just wandering, Simone felt something she hadn't felt in months. Oh, it was small and fragile, but it was there. Maybe Trevor was wrong. Maybe she wouldn't end up alone. And even if she did, maybe that wouldn't be the tragedy he made it sound like. Maybe being alone was better than being with someone who made you feel small. The subway ride home passed in a blur of thoughts. Simone found herself replaying the conversation with Isaiah, analyzing every word. He'd been so confident, so self-assured. Like he genuinely believed what he was saying. When was the last time someone had spoken to her like that? Like she was capable and strong and valuable just as she was? Her apartment looked exactly as she'd left it that morning. Small but cozy, with afternoon sunlight streaming through the windows she'd spent 3 weekends cleaning until they sparkled. She'd painted the walls a soft gray-blue, hung artwork she'd collected from local artists, arranged her books by color because it made her happy even though Trevor had always said it was impractical. This was her space, her sanctuary. And suddenly it didn't feel quite so small or lonely. Simone kicked off her heels, changed into comfortable clothes, and curled up on her couch with her phone. She pulled up Isaiah's business card from her purse and typed his name into a search engine, more out of curiosity than anything else. The results were immediate and overwhelming. Isaiah Bennett, CEO of Bennett Industries, worth an estimated $2 billion. Photos of him at charity galas, business conferences, industry events. Articles about his company's latest innovations, his philanthropic work, his rise from a middle-class background to tech industry giant. Simone set down her phone, feeling suddenly foolish. A billionaire CEO had bought her coffee and listened to her problems. That didn't mean anything. He was probably just being kind to someone who clearly needed it. Men like Isaiah Bennett didn't actually befriend women like her. They just occasionally crossed paths and shared a moment before returning to their separate, vastly different worlds. Still, as she made herself dinner and settled in for a quiet evening, Simone couldn't quite shake the memory of Isaiah's words. You need to validate yourself. Maybe he was right. Maybe it was time to stop waiting for external validation and start building a life that felt right from the inside out. Her phone rang, Rachel's name lighting up the screen. Hey, Simone answered, tucking the phone between her ear and shoulder as she stirred pasta sauce. Are you really okay? Rachel asked, worry evident in her voice. I felt terrible watching you leave like that. Brandon wanted to throw Trevor out, but I didn't want to cause a bigger scene. I'm actually fine, Simone said, surprised to realize it was true. Better than fine even. Really? Because you looked pretty upset. I was. But then something interesting happened. Simone found herself telling Rachel about Isaiah, about the conversation, about the unexpected perspective shift. Wait, Rachel interrupted. Isaiah Bennett? The Isaiah Bennett? The billionaire tech guy. I guess? I mean, he mentioned having a company, but I didn't realize who he was until I got home and looked him up. Rachel let out a low whistle. Simone, do you have any idea how lucky that is? Isaiah Bennett is like the most eligible bachelor in the city. Maybe the country. Forbes did a whole article about how he's never been seriously linked to anyone since his engagement ended years ago. It wasn't like that, Simone protested. He was just being nice to a stranger having a bad day. Or, Rachel said slowly, he was interested in you and that was his way of testing the waters. Don't be ridiculous. Men like him don't date women like me. Women like you? Simone, you're gorgeous, intelligent, kind. What's not to date? Simone sighed. I'm divorced, broke, working a job I don't even like, living in a tiny apartment. I'm nobody special. Okay, that's Trevor talking, not you. And I hate it. Rachel's voice turned fierce. You are special. You're my best friend and you're one of the strongest people I know. If Isaiah Bennett can see that after one conversation, maybe it's time you started seeing it too. After they hung up, Simone stared at her phone for a long time. The business card sat on her coffee table, crisp and white against the dark wood. She picked it up, running her thumb over the embossed text. She wouldn't call him. That would be presumptuous. He'd just been being polite. But she could email him. Just a quick thank you for the coffee and conversation. That was normal, right? Professional courtesy. Before she could overthink it further, Simone opened her email and typed, Mr. Bennett, thank you for the coffee this afternoon and for the kind words. It was exactly what I needed even if I didn't know it at the time. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to a stranger's problems. Best regards, Simone Andrews. She hit send before she could delete it and change her mind. Then she set her phone face down on the couch and tried very hard not to think about whether he would respond. He probably wouldn't. He was a billionaire CEO with 1,000 more important things to do than respond to random emails from women he'd met once. Her phone chimed. Simone grabbed it so fast she almost dropped it. A new email from Isaiah Bennett. Simone, the pleasure was entirely mine. And please call me Isaiah. Mr. Bennett is my father, and we're definitely not formal coffee-sharing acquaintances anymore. If you're free sometime next week, I'd enjoy continuing our conversation. No pressure, just coffee again. Or tea if that's more your speed. I promise not to judge your beverage choices too harshly this time. Isaiah. Simone read the email 3 times, her heart doing something complicated in her chest. This was crazy. She should decline politely and let this whole strange encounter fade into a pleasant memory. But when she hit reply, she found herself typing, "I'm free Wednesday afternoon. And I'm sticking with vanilla lattes, judgment or not." His response came back almost immediately, "Wednesday it is. I'll pick you up at 2 p.m. What's your address?" And just like that, Simone Andrews had a coffee date with a billionaire. What could possibly go wrong? Wednesday arrived faster than Simone expected. She changed outfits 4 times before settling on a blue dress that felt professional but not too formal, paired with comfortable flats since she'd learned her lesson about wearing heels when emotionally compromised. She told herself repeatedly this was just coffee, not a date, but her racing heart didn't seem to get the memo. Isaiah arrived exactly at 2, driving a sleek silver car that probably cost more than Simone would make in 5 years. He got out to open her door, dressed in dark jeans and a gray button-down that somehow looked both casual and expensive. "You look lovely," he said with a warm smile. "And I approve of the practical shoe choice." "I learned my lesson about running in heels," Simone replied, settling into the leather seat that felt like sitting on a cloud. They didn't go to the same cafe as before. Instead, Isaiah drove them to a small park on the edge of the city, one with a coffee cart run by an elderly woman who greeted Isaiah like an old friend. "Isaiah, my boy," she said, her weathered face creasing into a smile. "You brought company today. Mrs. Chen, this is Simone." "Simone, Mrs. Chen makes the best coffee in the entire city, no contest." "He's biased because I gave him free cookies when he was starting his company and couldn't afford to eat," Mrs. Chen said with a wink. "Now he's rich and famous but still comes to see me. That's good character." She made their drinks with practiced ease, refusing Isaiah's money as usual. They took their cups and walked along the park path, fallen leaves crunching under their feet. "This is nice," Simone said, meaning it. The park was quiet, peaceful. No crowds, no pressure. Just trees and sky and the comfortable presence of someone who somehow felt like more than a stranger. "I thought you might appreciate somewhere less crowded," Isaiah said. "Plus, I wanted to continue our conversation from last week without an audience." They found a bench overlooking a small pond. Ducks paddled lazily across the water, occasionally dipping their heads under in search of food. "So," Isaiah said after they'd sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, "have you given any more thought to what we talked about? About building a life you actually enjoy?" "Some," Simone admitted. "Though I'm not sure where to start. It's easy to say I should find work I'm passionate about, but I have bills to pay and I can't just quit my job on a whim." "Fair point. But there are smaller steps you can take. What did you want to do before life got in the way?" Simone thought back to college, to the dreams she'd had before they got compressed into practical plans. "I wanted to work in brand strategy for major companies. The creative side of marketing, not just managing social media posts for local restaurants. I wanted to build campaigns that meant something." "So why didn't you?" "Trevor thought it was too risky. Those jobs are competitive, hard to get. He said I should focus on steady employment instead of chasing dreams." Simone heard the bitterness in her own voice. "And I listened. I always listened." Isaiah was quiet for a moment, watching the ducks. "I have a proposition for you, and I need you to hear me out completely before you respond." "Okay," Simone said slowly, confused by the sudden shift in tone. "My company needs a brand strategist. We're expanding into new markets and our current marketing team is excellent at the technical side but lacks creative vision." Isaiah turned to face her fully. "I'd like to offer you the position." Simone's first instinct was to laugh it off as a joke, but Isaiah's expression was completely serious. "You barely know me. We've had 2 conversations. I know you're smart, creative when given the space to be, and currently stuck in a job that's beneath your capabilities. I also know you need a change and I need someone with fresh perspective." He held up a hand before she could protest. "Before you assume this is charity, let me be clear. I don't do charity when it comes to my business. If I didn't think you could do the job, I wouldn't offer it. I don't have experience in tech. You have experience in marketing and you understand people. The tech side can be taught. The creative instinct can't." Isaiah pulled out his phone and pulled up what looked like a job posting. "Read this. Take a few days to think about it. The salary is competitive and the benefits are excellent." Simone scanned the posting, her eyes widening at the salary figure. It was nearly double what she currently made. "This is too much. It's market rate for the position actually. You've been underpaid." Isaiah put his phone away. "But that's not even the main thing I wanted to discuss today." "There's more?" "Quite a bit more actually." Isaiah took a deep breath, and for the first time since Simone had met him, he looked nervous. "What I'm about to suggest is going to sound completely insane. I need you to promise you'll let me explain the whole thing before you run away screaming. Simone felt her stomach tighten with anxiety. You're kind of scaring me. I'm scaring myself a little, Isaiah admitted. But here goes. I want to propose a marriage arrangement. The world seemed to stop. Simone stared at him, coffee cup frozen halfway to her lips. I'm sorry, what? I know. Sounds absurd. But let me explain. Isaiah shifted on the bench, his words coming faster now. My board of directors has been pressuring me for the last 2 years to settle down. They think a married CEO looks more stable, more trustworthy to investors. It's old-fashioned and ridiculous, but it's affecting business. So hire a publicist to fix your image. I tried that. Didn't work. The board chairman, Mr. Harrison, has made it clear that my personal life is becoming a liability. He's even suggested they might look for replacement leadership if I don't, quote, demonstrate commitment to stability. Simone set down her coffee cup carefully. And you think a fake marriage is the solution to that? Not fake. Real, legally binding. But a partnership more than a romance. Isaiah met her eyes, his expression earnest. Here's what I'm proposing. We get married. To the outside world, we're a happy couple. Behind closed doors, we're business partners working toward mutual goals. This is insane. Completely, Isaiah agreed. But hear me out. You need a fresh start, a career change, and probably some distance from your ex-husband and his toxic comments. I need the board off my back and someone I can actually trust by my side. We help each other. People don't just get married for convenience. They do all the time, actually. Marriages have been business arrangements for most of human history. The idea of marrying purely for love is relatively modern. Isaiah pulled out a folder from inside his jacket. I had my lawyer draw up a preliminary agreement. It outlines everything. We'd live together in my penthouse, but you'd have your own private space. Separate bedrooms, shared common areas. You'd attend business functions with me when needed, and in exchange you'd have the job at my company, financial security, and the satisfaction of proving your ex-husband wrong about your worth. Simone felt like she was having an out-of-body experience. This couldn't be real. What do you get out of it besides a happy board? Honestly? Companionship. Someone intelligent to talk to. A partner who understands that business and personal life don't have to be separate entities. Isaiah's voice softened. I'm tired of being alone, Simone. But I'm also realistic about relationships. I don't have time for dating, for the games people play, for pretending to be someone I'm not to impress someone who'll probably leave anyway. This way we both know exactly what we're getting into. This is the craziest thing anyone has ever suggested to me. I know. And I'm not asking for an answer right now. Take the folder. Read through everything. Think about it. If you decide it's too insane, we part ways and I'll find another solution. Isaiah stood, offering his hand to help her up. But if you're even slightly curious about what your life could look like with real freedom, real support, and the chance to show your ex-husband that you don't need his validation or anyone else's, then consider it. They walked back to his car in silence. Simone clutched the folder like it might explode. Her mind raced with 1,000 questions, objections, concerns. This was insane. People didn't do things like this. It was the plot of a romantic comedy, not real life. But as Isaiah drove her home, she found herself thinking about Trevor's mocking words. No husband yet. About the cramped apartment and the unfulfilling job and the life that felt like it was happening to her instead of being lived by her. What if Isaiah was right? What if this crazy proposition was actually her ticket to freedom? Can I ask you something? Simone said as they pulled up to her building. Anything. Why me? You could probably find 100 women who'd jump at this opportunity. Women with better credentials, more money, more everything. Isaiah turned off the engine and angled his body toward her. Do you remember what I said at the cafe last week? About recognizing the look in your eyes? Yeah. I saw myself in you, Simone. Someone strong who's been told they're not good enough. Someone capable who's been held back by other people's limitations. Someone who deserves better than what life has handed them. He smiled slightly. Plus, you didn't know who I was when we met. You weren't impressed by the money or the status. You just talked to me like a normal person. That's rare in my world. I tackled you on the sidewalk. Best thing that's happened to me in years. Isaiah reached over and squeezed her hand briefly. Read the contract. Think about it. Call me when you've decided. No pressure either way. Simone climbed out of the car, folder tucked under her arm. She stood on the sidewalk and watched Isaiah drive away, then looked down at the folder. Inside her apartment, she made tea and curled up on her couch. The contract was surprisingly straightforward. A marriage lasting initially for 6 months, with option to extend or dissolve based on mutual agreement. Financial arrangements clearly outlined. Living situations detailed. Even an exit strategy if things didn't work out. It was clinical and businesslike. And somehow that made it feel more real, more possible. Simone pulled out her phone and opened her photos. There was one from Rachel's baby shower, taken before everything went wrong. She looked happy in it, genuinely happy. But there was something else too. A tiredness around her eyes. A tension in her shoulders. She looked at herself now in the reflection of her darkened phone screen. What did she have to lose? A job she hated? An apartment that felt empty? The approval of people who didn't actually care about her happiness? Before she could overthink it more, Simone grabbed her phone and called Isaiah's number. He answered on the second ring. That was fast. I have conditions, Simone said. I'd be disappointed if you didn't. Tell me. First, I want the job offer in writing, completely separate from the marriage arrangement. If this falls apart, I don't lose my career opportunity. Done. What else? Second, we tell no one this is an arrangement. Not your mother, not my friends, no one. If we're doing this, we commit to the illusion completely. Agreed. Continue. Simone took a deep breath. Third, if either of us develops actual feelings for someone else, we discuss it honestly and figure out an exit that protects both of us. Fair. Is that everything? No. One more thing. Simone's voice hardened. If you ever make me feel the way my ex-husband did, small and insignificant and not good enough, this ends immediately. I won't trade one cage for another, no matter how nice the cage is. Isaiah was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was serious. I promise you, Simone. I will never intentionally make you feel less than you are. You have my word. Then I'll do it, Simone heard herself say. Let's get married. The next 2 weeks passed in a whirlwind of activity that left Simone feeling like she'd been caught in a tornado. Isaiah's lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Monroe, met with her to review the marriage contract in detail. Every clause was explained, every contingency outlined. Simone signed the job offer first as stipulated, which gave her some measure of security even as she dove headfirst into the most unconventional decision of her life. She gave her notice at the marketing firm. Her boss seemed surprised but not particularly upset, which told Simone everything she needed to know about how valued she'd been there. Her co-workers threw her a small going-away party with grocery store cake and warm wishes. None of them knew about the marriage arrangement. As far as they knew, she'd simply landed a better opportunity. Rachel was harder to manage. Her best friend's intuition kicked into overdrive when Simone mentioned she was seeing someone. Seeing someone? Rachel had practically shrieked into the phone. You've been divorced for 7 months and suddenly you're seeing someone? Oh, when did this happen? Why didn't you tell me? It's new, Simone had hedged. Really new. I don't want to jinx it by talking about it too much. Is it the coffee guy? Isaiah Bennett? Simone's silence answered the question. Oh my God, it is him. Simone Andrews, you're dating a billionaire and you didn't tell me? We're not. It's complicated, Simone had stammered, hating the deception but knowing it was necessary. The whole arrangement depended on people believing it was real. Now, standing in front of Isaiah's penthouse building, Simone questioned for the 1,000th time whether she was making a terrible mistake. The building was all glass and steel, modern architecture that seemed to reach toward the sky. A doorman in a pristine blue uniform opened the door for her. Ms. Andrews? He asked with a professional smile. Mr. Bennett is expecting you. 22nd floor. The elevator was all mirrors and polished chrome. Simone studied her reflection during the smooth ride up. She'd worn jeans and a green sweater, comfortable clothes for what Isaiah had called moving day. Everything she owned fit into 6 boxes and 2 suitcases currently sitting in the trunk of the car service Isaiah had sent. The elevator doors opened directly into the penthouse. No hallway, no waiting. Just straight into the most beautiful living space Simone had ever seen. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the city. The furniture was modern but comfortable looking, all clean lines and neutral colors with pops of deep blue and emerald green. Original artwork hung on the walls. A kitchen with marble countertops opened into a dining area that could seat 12 easily. Isaiah emerged from a hallway, barefoot and wearing jeans and a black t-shirt that somehow looked as expensive as his suits. Welcome home, he said with a smile. What do you think? I think I'm underdressed for this apartment, Simone managed. Isaiah laughed. Trust me, once you've lived here for a week, you'll be walking around in sweatpants like I do on weekends. The fancy is just for show. He gave her a tour of the penthouse. Besides the main living area, there were 4 bedrooms each with private bathrooms. Isaiah's bedroom was at the far end of the hall, all dark wood and masculine decor. The guest rooms were tastefully neutral. "And this is your space," Isaiah said, opening the door to the largest guest room. Simone stepped inside and felt her breath catch. The room was painted a soft lavender, her favorite color though she'd never mentioned it. A massive bed with crisp white linens dominated one wall. Built-in bookshelves lined another. French doors opened onto a private balcony overlooking the city. The closet's a walk-in, obviously. And the bathroom has one of those fancy rainfall showers you were probably too polite to ask for. Isaiah leaned against the doorframe. "I had my assistant do some research on what you might like. If anything's wrong, we can change it." "It's perfect," Simone whispered. "How did you know about the lavender?" "Your social media. You had a photo from a few months ago at a lavender farm with Rachel. You looked happy. I took a guess." Isaiah pushed off from the doorframe. "Your boxes are being brought up now. Take your time settling in. We have dinner reservations at 8 if you're up for it. Nothing fancy, just a place I like that has good pasta." After he left, Simone sat on the edge of the bed and tried to process everything. This room was bigger than her entire apartment. The bathroom alone was larger than her old bedroom. She had a private balcony. A space that was entirely hers in the middle of luxury she'd never even imagined. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Patricia Monroe, Mr. Bennett's lawyer. Please confirm receipt of this message so I have your correct contact information for legal purposes." Simone replied, "Confirmed." Another buzz. "Excellent. The marriage license has been filed. Small ceremony is scheduled for next Saturday at 10 a.m. Mr. Bennett has guest list of 20, mostly family and close friends. He asked me to inquire about your guest list." The reality of what she was doing hit Simone like cold water. This was actually happening. In just over a week, she would be married to a man she barely knew. She thought about who to invite. Rachel, obviously. Her mother, who would have questions Simone wasn't sure she could answer convincingly. Maybe a few college friends she'd kept in touch with sporadically. She texted back, "Guest list will be small. Maybe 5 people. I'll send names tomorrow." Simone spent the next few hours unpacking her meager belongings. Everything she owned looked shabby in this beautiful space. Her clothes, mostly purchased from discount stores, seemed wrong hanging in the walk-in closet that had probably cost more than her car. The few books she'd collected felt insignificant on the massive built-in shelves. "Knock knock," Isaiah called from outside her door. "Safe to come in?" "Yeah." He entered carrying 2 garment bags. "I took the liberty of having my stylist pull together some options for the wedding and upcoming events. No pressure to wear any of it, but I thought you might appreciate having choices that wouldn't stress you out." Simone unzipped one bag. Inside was a stunning cream-colored dress, simple and elegant. The other bag held a pale blue pantsuit. "For the wedding," Isaiah explained. "Whichever you prefer. Or neither if you have something else in mind." "I don't have anything remotely appropriate for marrying a billionaire," Simone admitted. "My nicest dress is the green one you saw at the baby shower. Then these are yours if you want them." Isaiah sat in the armchair by the window. "Listen, I know this is overwhelming. Moving into a stranger's home, preparing to marry someone you barely know. If you need to back out, now's the time. No judgment, no hard feelings." Simone looked at him, really looked at him. Isaiah Bennett could have anyone. He could have made this arrangement with some socialite who understood his world, who had connections and breeding and all the things that mattered to people with money. Instead, he'd chosen her. A divorced marketing assistant with more baggage than belongings. "Why are you being so nice to me?" she asked quietly. "Because this only works if we're both comfortable. And because you deserve kindness." Isaiah stood and headed for the door, then paused. "For what it's worth, I'm glad it's you, Simone. I think we're going to make a good team." After he left, Simone tried on the cream dress. It fit perfectly, hugging her curves in ways that made her look elegant instead of exposed. She stood in front of the full-length mirror, barely recognizing herself. "What are you doing?" she whispered to her reflection. "This is crazy." But even as she said it, she felt a thrill of excitement. For the first time in years, she was choosing something for herself. Not what Trevor wanted, not what was safe or practical or expected. Just something that felt right, even if it was completely unconventional. Dinner that night was at a small Italian restaurant in a neighborhood Simone didn't recognize. The place had checked tablecloths and candles and wine bottles. Nothing fancy, just good food and quiet conversation. "We should probably discuss logistics," Isaiah said over appetizers. Public appearance guidelines, that sort of thing. Like what? Like how we met. We need a consistent story. Isaiah poured them both wine. I was thinking we keep it close to the truth. We met by chance, started talking, realized we had chemistry. When did this supposed relationship start? 3 months ago. Long enough to make the quick engagement believable, but not so long that people wonder why no one knew about it. Isaiah pulled out his phone and opened a notes app. We kept it quiet because you were getting over your divorce and I wanted to respect your privacy. That actually sounds believable, Simone admitted. Good. Now, physical affection in public. I'm assuming hand-holding and the occasional arm around your waist is acceptable. Simone felt her cheeks heat. She hadn't thought about the physical aspect of this arrangement. Yeah, that's fine. Kissing? If necessary. But let's keep it minimal. Isaiah made a note. Agreed. What about pet names? Some couples use them, some don't. Can we just stick with our actual names? Works for me. I always found honey and baby kind of cringy anyway. Isaiah set his phone aside as their entrees arrived. Okay, your turn. What boundaries do I need to know about? Simone thought about it while cutting into her chicken marsala. Don't answer questions about when we're having kids. That's too personal and too loaded given my history. Fair. What else? If we're at an event and I seem uncomfortable, can we have a signal? Something subtle that means I need a break or want to leave. How about you touch your left earring? I'll notice and we'll excuse ourselves. They spent the rest of dinner hammering out details. How late Isaiah typically worked, often until 8 or 9. Whether Simone was a morning person, absolutely not. Household management, Isaiah had a cleaning service twice a week. Food preferences, Isaiah was allergic to shellfish, Simone couldn't stand cilantro. It felt bizarre and businesslike and somehow reassuring. They were approaching this like any other partnership, with clear communication and mutual respect. Can I ask you something personal? Simone said as they waited for dessert. Go ahead. Your ex-fiancée. The one who left. Do you still think about her? Isaiah was quiet for a moment. Sometimes. Not in a pining way, more just wondering what life would have been like if I'd been different back then. But honestly, I think she did me a favor. We would have been miserable together. Do you think you'll ever want something real? Not an arrangement, but actual love and partnership. Maybe someday. But I'm 42 and I've been in exactly 2 serious relationships in my entire life. I'm clearly not good at the traditional approach. Isaiah met her eyes. What about you? You said you wanted a happy ending. What does that look like? Simone considered. I used to think it meant finding another person to complete me. But now, I think it means feeling complete on my own and choosing to share that with someone who enhances it instead of diminishing it. That's very wise. It's very learned through painful experience, Simone corrected with a wry smile. They shared dessert, a tiramisu that Simone declared the best thing she'd ever tasted. The conversation drifted to lighter topics. Favorite movies? Isaiah loved action films, Simone preferred documentaries. Worst first date stories? Isaiah once had someone show up with a resume and pitch deck for why they'd make a good partner. Dream vacation destinations? Simone wanted to see the Northern Lights, Isaiah wanted to visit every baseball stadium in America. By the time they left the restaurant, Simone felt more at ease than she had in days. This might be unconventional, but it didn't feel wrong. It felt like 2 people figuring out how to help each other. Like partnership in the truest sense. Back at the penthouse, they stood awkwardly in the living room. Well, Isaiah said. Good night, I guess? Good night, Simone echoed. She retreated to her beautiful lavender room and changed into pajamas. Through the wall, she could hear Isaiah moving around in his space. This was her life now. Sharing a home with a virtual stranger who'd somehow become the person offering her a way forward. Simone climbed into the luxurious bed and pulled out her phone. There was a text from Rachel. How's the new place? When can I see it? When do I get to properly meet this mystery man? Simone typed back. Soon. I promise. Things are just moving fast. Rachel replied immediately. Moving fast or moving too fast? Are you sure about this? I'm sure, Simone wrote. And the crazy thing was, she meant it. She was about to turn off her light when another text came through. This one from Isaiah. First day down. You did great. Sleep well, partner. Simone smiled and texted back. You too. See you in the morning. As she drifted off to sleep in her new room, in her new life, Simone felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Excitement for what came next. 3 weeks into the arrangement, Simone was starting to forget what her old life had felt like. She'd started at Bennett Industries, working with the marketing team to develop brand strategies for their major clients. The work was challenging and creative in ways her old job had never been. Her co-workers respected her ideas, and Isaiah had made it clear she'd been hired on merit, not as a favor. The living situation was surprisingly comfortable. Isaiah kept to his side of the penthouse most evenings, working late in his home office. Simone claimed the kitchen table as her space for reviewing campaigns and brainstorming ideas. They'd fallen into an easy routine of sharing coffee in the mornings and, when their schedules aligned, dinner in the evenings. "You're going to give yourself eye strain," Isaiah said one Thursday night, appearing in the kitchen with 2 glasses of wine. "You've been staring at that laptop for 3 hours straight." Simone accepted the wine gratefully. "I'm trying to crack the Hoffman account. They want something innovative but won't tell me what innovative means to them." Ah, the impossible client. Every company has one. Isaiah peered at her screen. "What have you tried?" 6 different approaches, all rejected. Their CEO keeps saying he'll know it when he sees it, which is consultant speak for, "I have no idea what I want but I'll be difficult about it anyway." Isaiah laughed and pulled up a chair beside her. "Show me what you've got." They spent the next hour dissecting her proposals, with Isaiah offering insights from his years of dealing with difficult clients. He had a way of cutting through jargon to the core issue, asking questions that forced Simone to think differently about the problem. "What if you're approaching this backwards?" Isaiah said, pointing at her screen. "You're trying to give Hoffman what they say they want. What if you gave them what they actually need instead?" "Explain." "Hoffman Industries is struggling because they're seen as old-fashioned, stodgy. But they're trying to rebrand as cutting edge, which feels false because it is false. They're not cutting edge. They're reliable, traditional, stable." Isaiah leaned back in his chair. "So instead of pretending to be something they're not, why not lean into what they actually are? Make tradition and reliability the selling point." Simone stared at him. "That's brilliant. That's experience talking. I spent my first 3 years as CEO trying to make Bennett Industries look like a cool startup when we were actually a solid, dependable consulting firm. Once I stopped fighting our identity and embraced it, everything clicked." He stood and stretched. "Try pitching that angle. I bet Hoffman's CEO will respond better." "Thank you. Seriously. You just saved me from another weekend of rejected proposals. That's what partners are for." Isaiah paused at the doorway. "Also, my mother wants to meet you before the wedding. She's invited us for dinner Sunday night. Fair warning, she's going to interrogate you mercilessly." "Wonderful," Simone said dryly. "I'll be sure to study for the exam." "She means well. She's just protective. And nosy. Very, very nosy." Sunday dinner with Gloria Bennett turned out to be exactly as intimidating as Simone feared. Isaiah's mother lived in a stately home in the suburbs, all hardwood floors and antique furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. She answered the door wearing a blue dress and pearls, her silver hair styled perfectly. "So you're the young woman who finally caught my son's attention," Gloria said, looking Simone up and down with sharp eyes. Come in. I've made pot roast." Dinner was a carefully orchestrated interrogation disguised as polite conversation. Gloria wanted to know everything: Simone's family background, her education, her career history, her previous marriage. Isaiah tried to deflect some of the more personal questions, but his mother was relentless. "A divorce?" Gloria said thoughtfully, cutting her pot roast with precise movements. "That must have been difficult." "It was," Simone answered honestly. "But I'm better for it now." "And you're not concerned about rushing into another marriage so quickly?" "Mom," Isaiah warned. "It's okay," Simone said. She'd prepared for this question. "I understand your concern. But what Isaiah and I have is different. We're building something based on honesty and mutual respect. We both know what we want and what we can offer each other." Gloria studied her for a long moment, then smiled. "Good answer. Too many people marry for passion and end up miserable. Partnership and respect matter more in the long run." The rest of the dinner went more smoothly. Gloria shared embarrassing stories about Isaiah's childhood, showed Simone his baby pictures, and by the end of the evening, seemed genuinely pleased with her son's choice. "I like her," Gloria whispered to Isaiah while Simone was in the bathroom. Simone heard it through the door. "Don't mess this up." "I won't, Mom." In the car ride home, Isaiah looked relieved. "That went better than I expected. She usually grills my dates until they cry." "I'm a good test taker," Simone joked. Then more seriously, "Your mom loves you a lot." "That's nice." "She does. She's been worried about me for years, convinced I was going to end up alone and miserable. Isaiah glanced at her. Thank you for being patient with her questions. I know some of them were intrusive. It's fine. If I were her, I'd probably do the same thing. Back at the penthouse, they found themselves lingering in the living room instead of retreating to their separate spaces. It had become a pattern lately, these extended conversations that stretched late into the night. They talked about everything: childhood memories, career aspirations, favorite books, political views, fears and hopes. Can I ask you something? Isaiah said, both of them sitting on opposite ends of the couch with wine glasses in hand. Always. Do you ever wonder if we're making a mistake? Like, is this arrangement actually healthy or are we just two people avoiding real relationships? Simone considered the question carefully. I think we're two people who've been hurt and who are choosing to protect ourselves while still moving forward. Is that avoidance? Maybe. Or maybe it's wisdom. I wish I'd met you 10 years ago, Isaiah said quietly. When I was still open to traditional relationships. When I still thought love conquered all. 10 years ago I was dating Trevor and convinced I'd found my soulmate. We probably wouldn't have been good for each other. Simone pulled her feet up under her. Maybe we met exactly when we were supposed to. When we both needed a different approach. You're probably right. Isaiah set down his wine glass. I'm glad you crashed into me that day. Technically you were in my way. I was standing still. You were the one running away from your problems. And now I'm running towards something different, Simone said. We both are. The wedding was small and intimate, held in the garden of an upscale hotel. Simone wore the cream dress Isaiah had given her, her hair styled in soft waves. Her mother cried as mothers do, though Simone suspected she had reservations about the quick timeline. Rachel stood as her maid of honor, looking beautiful despite being 8 months pregnant. Are you sure about this? She whispered before the ceremony started. I'm sure, Simone said, meaning it. Isaiah looked handsome in a charcoal gray suit, his expression serious as he waited at the altar. When Simone walked down the aisle, she saw something in his eyes that surprised her. Genuine happiness. This might be an arrangement, but he looked like a man who was glad to be here. The ceremony was simple. Traditional vows, the exchange of rings, the pronouncement of husband and wife. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Isaiah leaned in and gave Simone a soft, brief kiss that somehow felt more intimate than it should have. The reception was elegant but relaxed. Isaiah's business associates mingled with Simone's small circle of friends. Everyone seemed happy for them, though Simone caught a few speculative glances. People were probably wondering how a marketing assistant had landed a billionaire CEO. Let them wonder. Mrs. Bennett, Isaiah said during their first dance, holding her closer than strictly necessary for appearances. How does it feel? Strange, Simone admitted. Good strange but strange. I'm someone's wife again. Not just someone's. Mine. Isaiah spun her gently. And unlike last time, this husband actually appreciates what he has. Later that night, back at the penthouse, they stood in the living room still in their wedding clothes. Well, Isaiah said. We did it. We're officially married. We're officially married, Simone echoed. Now what? Now we figure out how to actually be married, I guess. Isaiah loosened his tie. Want to watch a movie? I'm too wired to sleep. They ended up on the couch in their fancy wedding clothes, watching an action movie Isaiah had seen a dozen times. Simone fell asleep somewhere around the second explosion, her head dropping onto Isaiah's shoulder. She woke briefly when he carried her to her room, laying her gently on the bed and pulling a blanket over her. Good night, wife, he whispered. Good night, husband, she mumbled back, already drifting off again. The next morning, Simone's phone exploded with notifications. The wedding photos had made it to social media, and apparently, the marriage of Isaiah Bennett was news. Her email was full of messages from former co-workers and college friends, all congratulating her or asking for details. One email stood out. From Trevor, saw your wedding photos. Guess you found someone after all. Congratulations. Simone stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it without responding. Trevor didn't deserve any part of this new chapter of her life. Anything interesting? Isaiah asked, appearing in the kitchen already dressed for work even though it was Sunday. Just Trevor being Trevor. Passive-aggressive email disguised as congratulations. Want me to have my lawyer send a cease and desist? Isaiah poured them both coffee. Tempting but no. Ignoring him is better. Simone accepted her coffee. Are you working today? Just for a few hours. Big presentation tomorrow and I want to review everything one more time. He paused. Actually, I wanted to ask if you'd look over it. You're better at this stuff than I am. The CEO of Bennett Industries wants the brand strategist to review his work? This marriage is already paying off. Don't get cocky, Mrs. Bennett. You still work for me. The teasing had become natural between them. They'd fallen into an easy banter that felt more like longtime friends than newlyweds or business partners. Felt nice. Over the next few weeks, they attended social events together. Charity galas, business dinners, the occasional party thrown by one of Isaiah's friends. Simone learned to work a room, to make small talk with people who had more money than she'd ever dreamed of, to play the role of supportive wife while maintaining her own identity. And something unexpected happened. She started enjoying it. Not the social climbing aspect but the partnership. Standing beside Isaiah at events, watching him work a room, then debriefing afterward about who was interesting and who was insufferable. Making each other laugh with inside jokes. Finishing each other's sentences during couples conversations. One night, after a particularly boring charity auction, they collapsed on the couch together. If I have to listen to one more person talk about their yacht, Isaiah groaned. I nearly fell asleep during that speech about sustainable caviar farming, Simone added. That was 45 minutes of my life I'll never get back. They looked at each other and started laughing. Simone felt Isaiah's arm around her shoulders, pulling her close, and she let herself lean into him. It felt natural. Comfortable. Isaiah, she said after a moment. Yeah. This arrangement. It's not feeling much like an arrangement anymore. He was quiet for a beat. No. It's not. Is that a problem? I don't know. Isaiah's hand ran up and down her arm absently. We should probably talk about it. Probably. But not tonight. I'm too tired. Agreed. Tomorrow. But tomorrow turned into next week, and next week turned into next month, and the conversation about what they were becoming never quite happened. They just kept moving forward, the line between arrangement and reality blurring a little more each day. Simone's mother Patricia arrived the day before the ceremony, though Simone and Isaiah had already legally married at City Hall with just a lawyer as witness. Today's event was for show, for family and friends who expected a proper wedding. Patricia took one look at the penthouse and immediately started crying. Baby girl, she said, pulling Simone into a tight hug. Look at you. Look at this place. I never thought after that disaster with Trevor. Mom, please don't cry. You'll make me cry and then my makeup will be ruined for tomorrow. Patricia pulled back, studying her daughter's face with the intensity only mothers possess. You're happy. Really happy. I can see it in your eyes. I am, Simone said, surprised by how true it was. And he treats you well? This Isaiah? Because if he doesn't, I don't care how much money he has. I'll drive up here and... He treats me very well, Mom. Better than I've ever been treated. Isaiah appeared then, home early from work to help with wedding preparations. He greeted Patricia with genuine warmth, complimenting her dress and asking about her drive. Within 10 minutes, he had her laughing with stories about his own mother's excitement over the wedding. I like him, Patricia whispered to Simone later while Isaiah was on a phone call in his office. He's good people. You can tell. The wedding day dawned clear and beautiful. Simone woke to find a note slipped under her door. Good morning, wife. Today we make it official in front of everyone who matters. No pressure. Rachel arrived early to help Simone get ready, her newborn daughter strapped to her chest in a carrier. Look at you, she said, eyes shining. You're glowing. It's expensive makeup, Simone joked. It's love, Rachel corrected. Maybe you didn't plan on falling for him, but you did. I can see it. Simone wanted to protest, to explain that this was still technically an arrangement, that feelings weren't part of the deal. But she couldn't. Because Rachel was right. Somewhere between fake hand-holding for the cameras and real late-night conversations on the couch, she'd fallen for Isaiah Bennett. The garden ceremony was perfect. Isaiah's face when he saw Simone walking toward him was everything she'd never known she wanted. He looked at her like she was precious. Like she was chosen. Like she was exactly who he wanted beside him for the rest of his life. Hi, he whispered when she reached him. Hi yourself, she whispered back. This time, when the officiant pronounced them husband and wife and Isaiah kissed her, it felt different from their City Hall kiss. This one was longer, deeper. This one made her heart race. This one made the gathered guests cheer. At the reception, Isaiah never left her side. He introduced her to business associates with pride in his voice. He held her close during their first dance. He made a toast that had half the room teasing him about going soft. To my wife, Isaiah said, raising his glass. The smartest, strongest, most incredible woman I've ever known. Thank you for taking a chance on me. Later, during dinner, Simone's phone buzzed. She glanced at it discreetly. Another message from Trevor. Nice show. Wonder how long until he realizes what a mistake he made. Simone deleted it immediately, refusing to let Trevor's bitterness touch this perfect day. Everything okay? Isaiah asked, noticing her expression. Perfect, she said, taking his hand. Everything's perfect. They cut the cake, tossed the bouquet, Rachel caught it one-handed while holding her baby, and danced until Simone's feet hurt in her beautiful cream heels. Isaiah's friends were warm and welcoming, treating Simone like she'd always been part of their circle. His mother cornered her at one point. I wasn't sure about you at first, Gloria admitted. I thought maybe you were after his money. But I see how you look at him. And more importantly, I see how he looks at you. Like you're the answer to a question he didn't know he was asking. I'm not after anything except partnership, Simone said carefully. Oh honey, Gloria laughed. That's what all the best marriages are built on. Partnership first, romance second. You'll figure that out soon enough. As the reception wound down, Isaiah and Simone said goodbye to the last guests. They'd planned a small honeymoon, just a long weekend at a beach house Isaiah owned upstate. Nothing extravagant, just time away from the city and work and expectations. In the car service driving them home to pack, Isaiah took off his tie and undid the top buttons of his shirt. That went well. Better than well. It was beautiful. You were beautiful. Isaiah reached over and took her hand. I meant what I said in my toast. Thank you for taking a chance on this crazy arrangement. Thank you for offering it in the first place. Simone squeezed his hand. Isaiah, we need to talk about something. I know. The feelings thing. The feelings thing, Simone confirmed. Because I think we both know this stopped being just an arrangement a while ago. Isaiah turned to face her fully. I started falling for you the day you critiqued my Hoffman proposal and told me I was overthinking it. You were so confident, so brilliant. I thought, this woman is going to change everything. I started falling for you when you carried me to bed after our wedding and whispered goodnight like it mattered. Like I mattered. You do matter. You matter more than you know. Isaiah lifted her hand to his lips. So what do we do about it? I guess we stop pretending this is fake and admit it's become real. I can do that. Isaiah smiled. Can I kiss my wife properly now? Without pretending it's for show. Please. He leaned in and kissed her like he meant it. Like this was the beginning of something neither of them had planned but both wanted. The driver politely kept his eyes on the road. At the penthouse, they packed for the beach house trip in comfortable silence. But when Simone went to her room, Isaiah followed. I thought maybe... He started, then seemed to lose his nerve. Never mind. What? I thought maybe we could share a room at the beach house. If you wanted. No pressure. Simone smiled. I'd like that. But Isaiah? We need to set some new ground rules if we're doing this for real. Agreed. Let's talk about it tomorrow after we've had time to process everything. He kissed her forehead. Get some sleep, wife. We have an early drive. That night, lying in her beautiful lavender room, Simone thought about how much had changed. 3 months ago, she'd been a divorced marketing assistant being mocked by her ex-husband at a baby shower. Now she was married to a billionaire who looked at her like she hung the moon, working a job she loved, living in luxury she'd never imagined. But more than all of that, she felt valued. Appreciated. See. Her phone buzzed one last time. A text from Isaiah. Thank you for marrying me. Again. And for meaning it this time. Simone smiled and typed back. Thank you for giving me a reason to believe in partnership again. The beach house was perfect, exactly the kind of place Simone would have chosen herself. Nothing ostentatious, just clean lines and comfortable furniture and massive windows overlooking the ocean. They spent the weekend walking on the beach, cooking meals together, talking about everything except work and obligations. On their last night there, sitting on the porch watching the sunset, Isaiah brought up the conversation they'd been avoiding. So, ground rules for this real marriage we've accidentally fallen into? Simone had been thinking about it all weekend. Honesty always. Even when it's uncomfortable. Agreed. What else? We keep working on being partners first. The romance is wonderful, but what we built on mutual respect and shared goals matters more. Smart. Continue. We don't lose ourselves in this. I keep my career, my friends, my identity. You keep yours. We enhance each other's lives, not consume them. Isaiah nodded thoughtfully. And we remember that we chose this. On purpose. Not because we had to, but because we wanted to. Deal. Simone held out her hand to shake on it. Isaiah took it, but instead of shaking, he pulled her close and kissed her. This is the weirdest, most unconventional marriage in history. And yet it works for us. Yeah, Isaiah agreed, his arms around her as they watched the sun dip below the horizon. It really does. Back in the city, reality returned with a vengeance. Isaiah was immediately consumed with a major acquisition deal. Simone had 3 campaign proposals due by the end of the week. They fell back into their routine, but now with the added dimension of their acknowledged feelings. They still kept separate rooms, both agreeing they wanted to take the physical aspect of their relationship slowly. But now Isaiah would kiss her goodbye before leaving for work. Simone would curl up next to him on the couch during their evening debriefs. They held hands when no one was watching just because they wanted to. One evening, 2 weeks after the beach house trip, Simone was working late when her phone rang. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello? Simone? It's Candace. Simone's blood ran cold. Trevor's girlfriend. No, probably his ex-girlfriend by now, based on the crying Simone could hear in her voice. What do you want, Candace? I need help. I know you have no reason to help me, but I didn't know who else to call. Trevor left me. The baby came early and he left us at the hospital. And I saw online that you're married to Isaiah Bennett now, and I thought maybe... Stop, Simone said firmly. I'm not helping you. I'm not giving you money. I'm not fixing the mess you made with Trevor. Please, I have nowhere to go. My family disowned me when I got pregnant. Trevor took everything. I just need... You need to figure it out yourself. Like I had to figure it out when you and Trevor destroyed my marriage. Goodbye, Candace. Simone hung up and immediately blocked the number. Her hands were shaking. Isaiah appeared in the doorway of her room. I heard raised voices. Everything okay? Simone told him about the call. Isaiah's expression hardened. She has some nerve asking you for help. Trevor left her. With a new baby. Just left them. That tracks with everything you've told me about him. Isaiah sat beside her on the bed. How are you feeling? Honestly? Relieved. Not because she's hurting, but because I'm not in her position. If I'd stayed with Trevor, that could have been me. Simone leaned against Isaiah. Thank you for being nothing like him. Set a pretty low bar there, Isaiah joked. But I'll take it. The next morning, over coffee, Isaiah brought it up again. I've been thinking about the Candace situation. I told you I'm not helping her. I'm not suggesting you should. But I am suggesting I could have my lawyer set up a fund for the baby. Nothing directly to Candace, but money held in trust for the child's needs. Medical care, eventually education, that sort of thing. Simone stared at him. Why would you do that? Because a baby shouldn't suffer for its parents' mistakes. And because I can afford it without even noticing. Isaiah took her hand. But only if you're comfortable with it. I won't do anything that hurts you. You're a good man, Isaiah Bennett. I try. He kissed her hand. Is that a yes? It's a yes. But no contact with either Candace or Trevor. Anonymous trust only. Done. Life settled into a new normal. Simone thrived at Bennett Industries, earning respect for her innovative campaigns. Isaiah's acquisition deal closed successfully, making international headlines. They attended charity events and business dinners as a united front, no longer having to fake the connection between them. 3 months after their beach house weekend, Isaiah came home with a huge grin on his face. I have news. Good news. Tell me, Simone demanded, setting aside her laptop. The board meeting today. Mr. Harrison gave a whole speech about company leadership and stability. Then he publicly thanked me for, quote, finally becoming the kind of leader this company needs. A settled, mature, focused CEO. That's wonderful. It gets better. They're giving me full autonomy on the next round of acquisitions. No more oversight committee, no more questioning my decisions. Isaiah picked Simone up and spun her around. We did it. This arrangement worked exactly as planned. Simone laughed as he set her down. So what now? Now we stop calling it an arrangement and call it what it is. A real marriage. One that makes both of us happy. I can live with that. They ordered takeout and celebrated quietly, just the two of them. No fancy parties or public announcements. Just two people who'd found their way to each other through the most unlikely of circumstances. Later, as they shared pad thai on the couch, Isaiah turned serious. Can I confess something? Always. That day I ran into you outside the baby shower? I didn't just happen to be there. I'd been at a lunch meeting at that venue. I saw you leaving, saw the expression on your face, and I followed you. I wanted to make sure you were okay. You stalked me? But Simone was smiling. I ensured your well-being from a discreet distance. Isaiah grinned. And then you crashed into me and gave me the perfect excuse to talk to you. So this whole thing was a setup? More like fate with a helpful nudge. Isaiah pulled her closer. Best decision I ever made following you that day. Best decision I ever made saying yes to coffee with a stranger. They fell asleep on the couch that night, tangled together, the TV playing quietly in the background. And when Simone woke up the next morning still in Isaiah's arms, she realized she'd finally found what she'd been looking for all along. Not a rescue. Not a revenge. Just a real partnership built on honesty, respect, and genuine affection. And that was worth more than any perfect romance could have been. 6 months into her marriage to Isaiah, Simone's life had transformed in ways she'd never imagined. She'd been promoted to senior brand strategist at Bennett Industries, leading a team of 5 talented marketers. Her campaigns had won 2 industry awards. The financial security she'd gained allowed her to pay off the last of the debts from her divorce and even start investing, with advice from Isaiah's financial advisor. But more than the professional success and material comfort, it was the emotional security that mattered most. Coming home to someone who was genuinely interested in her day. Having a partner who celebrated her wins and supported her through challenges. Building a life that felt authentically hers instead of borrowed or performed. Rachel noticed the change. You're different now, she said one afternoon during a coffee date. Her daughter slept peacefully in a stroller beside their table. More confident. Like you finally believe you're worth all the good things happening to you. I feel different, Simone admitted. For 7 years with Trevor, I was constantly trying to be enough. With Isaiah, I just am. It's enough by itself. That's what marriage should be. Partnership, not performance. Rachel took a sip of her latte. Though I have to admit, I had my doubts at first. Everything happened so fast. I know. I had doubts too. But sometimes fast is right. They spent the afternoon shopping for baby clothes. Rachel insisted she needed more, though her daughter had an entire closet full, and talking about everything and nothing. It was normal and comfortable and exactly what Simone needed. A reminder that she still had her own life, her own friendships, outside of being Mrs. Isaiah Bennett. That evening, Simone was at the office late finishing a proposal when her desk phone rang. The front desk security guard. Mrs. Bennett, I'm sorry to bother you, but there's a gentleman here asking to see you. Trevor Hayes. He says it's urgent. Simone's stomach dropped. I'm not available. Please ask him to leave. I tried, ma'am. He's being quite insistent. Says he'll wait all night if necessary. Call building security if he won't leave voluntarily. I don't want to see him. Simone hung up and immediately texted Isaiah, who was traveling for business in Chicago. Trevor showed up at my office. Security is handling it. I'm fine. His response came within seconds. Do you want me to fly back? No. Stay. I've got this. But her hands were shaking as she gathered her things. She'd known this moment might come eventually. Trevor had seen her success, her marriage, her transformed life. Of course he would show up with some excuse or demand or manipulation. She called for a car service instead of using the subway, not wanting to risk running into Trevor on the street. The guard at the front desk confirmed that building security had escorted Trevor out. He'd left shouting something about Simone owing him a conversation. Simone didn't owe Trevor anything. Not her time, not her attention, certainly not an explanation for her happiness. At the penthouse, she poured herself a glass of wine and called Isaiah. He answered immediately, concern evident in his voice. Are you sure you're okay? I can catch the next flight. I'm sure. Really. I just needed to hear your voice. Simone curled up on the couch. He looked terrible from what the security guard told me. Desperate. Good. He should be desperate. He threw away the best thing he ever had. Isaiah's voice softened. I miss you. This conference is boring without you here to mock the terrible presentations with me. I miss you too. When are you back? Tomorrow night. Late flight lands around 10. They talked for another hour about nothing important. Isaiah told her about his day, the clients he'd met, the steak dinner he'd had that was good but not as good as the Italian place they liked in their neighborhood. Simone told him about her progress on the new campaign, about Rachel's baby starting to smile, about the strange craving she'd developed for pickles and ice cream. That's a weird combination, Isaiah noted. Don't judge my snacks. They judge your black coffee habit. After they hung up, Simone felt better. More grounded. Trevor showing up had shaken her more than she wanted to admit, but Isaiah's steady presence even over the phone helped. She was about to head to bed when her phone buzzed. An email from an unknown address. Against her better judgment, she opened it. Simone, I know you don't want to talk to me, but please read this. I made mistakes. Huge mistakes. Losing you was the biggest one. Candace left me, took the baby and disappeared. I lost my job. I lost everything. And I realized the only real thing I ever had was you. Please give me a chance to explain. To apologize. To maybe try again. We were good together once. We could be good together again. Simone read the email 3 times, feeling nothing but a distant kind of pity. A year ago this message might have meant something. The vindication of Trevor admitting he'd been wrong, that leaving her had been a mistake. Now it just felt pathetic. She didn't respond. Instead, she forwarded the email to Isaiah with a message, FYI. Not responding but wanted you to see it in case he escalates. Isaiah's reply came quickly, thank you for telling me. If he contacts you again we go to legal. No one gets to harass my wife. Simone smiled at the protective tone. She'd never had that before. Trevor had always made her problems feel like burdens. Isaiah made her feel supported. The next morning she arrived at the office to find flowers on her desk. 24 red roses with a card that read, I'm sorry for everything. Please talk to me. Trevor. Simone immediately called building security. There are flowers on my desk that I didn't order. They're from Trevor Hayes, the man who was escorted out yesterday. Can you remove them and add him to the building's banned list? Absolutely, Mrs. Bennett. I apologize for the lapse. We'll make sure he can't access the building or send any deliveries. The flowers were gone within 10 minutes. But an hour later, Simone's assistant knocked on her office door, looking uncomfortable. Mrs. Bennett, Trevor Hayes is calling repeatedly. He's called the main line, your direct line, and my extension. I've told him you're unavailable but he keeps calling back. Block all his numbers. If he continues, we'll file a harassment complaint. Simone kept her voice calm, professional, even though her heart was racing. And please document every call. Times what he said, everything. By lunch, Trevor had called 37 times. Simone contacted Isaiah's lawyer, Patricia Monroe, who immediately sent Trevor a cease and desist letter via email and certified mail. This is textbook harassment, Patricia told Simone during their phone call. If he violates the cease and desist, we can pursue a restraining order. That evening, exhausted from the constant stress of Trevor's attempts to contact her, Simone was relieved to see Isaiah's text, landing in 20 minutes. I'll be home soon. She met him at the door when he arrived, practically falling into his arms. Rough day? Isaiah asked, holding her close. Trevor called my office 37 times. Sent flowers. Sent emails. Patricia sent him a cease and desist. I'm going to kill him, Isaiah said flatly. You're not going to kill him. You're going to help me ignore him until he gives up and goes away. Simone pulled back to look at Isaiah's face. I'm fine really. Just tired of dealing with his drama. They ordered dinner and spent the evening deliberately not talking about Trevor. Isaiah told her about the conference, about the deals he'd closed, about the funny thing that happened when a waiter spilled wine on a particularly pompous investor. Simone filled him in on the office gossip and the progress on her campaigns. Later, curled up on the couch together, Isaiah brought it up again. I have an idea. Want to hear it? Always. Let's go public with how happy we are. Social media, interviews, the works. Show Trevor and everyone else exactly what he lost and exactly how little his opinion matters. That feels petty? Maybe. But it would also make it crystal clear that you've moved on. That his attempts to reconnect are pointless. Isaiah ran his hand through her hair. Plus, I like showing you off. You're brilliant and beautiful and mine. When you put it that way? Simone smiled. Okay. Let's do it. Over the next few weeks, they became more visible as a couple. Isaiah posted photos of them at events, with captions about how lucky he was. Simone shared behind-the-scenes glimpses of her work at Bennett Industries. They gave a joint interview to a business magazine about partnerships in work and life. The media ate it up. Power couple. Inside the marriage of tech CEO Isaiah Bennett and rising marketing star Simone Andrews Bennett. The articles were glowing, talking about their partnership approach to marriage and how they were each other's biggest supporters. Trevor saw it all. He had to have. But after the cease and desist letter and the very public display of Simone's happiness, the contact attempts stopped. For 2 blissful weeks there was nothing. Then, on a Thursday morning, Simone's assistant buzzed her office. Mrs. Bennett, There's someone from building security here to see you. She says it's important. The security manager came in looking apologetic. Mrs. Bennett, Trevor Hayes was found sleeping in his car in our parking garage this morning. He told security he'd been living there for 3 days hoping to talk to you. We've had him removed from the premises and banned from the entire property, including the garage. But I wanted you to be aware. Simone felt a chill run through her. He was sleeping in the garage? For 3 days. Yes, ma'am. In a beat-up sedan. Security says he looked homeless. Dirty clothes, unshaven. He was yelling something about you ruining his life when they escorted him out. After the security manager left, Simone sat at her desk trying to process this information. Trevor had always been prideful, always concerned with appearances. For him to be living in his car, camping out in a parking garage, he must have truly hit rock bottom. She didn't feel victorious. She felt nothing. This man who'd once been her husband, who she'd built a life with, had become a stranger. A sad, desperate stranger, but a stranger nonetheless. She called Isaiah. Trevor's been living in his car in our office parking garage for 3 days. Jesus. Is he gone now? Yes. Security banned him from the entire property. But Isaiah, I think he's having some kind of breakdown. That's not your responsibility, Simone. He made his choices. He destroyed his own life. I know. But Simone struggled to articulate the complicated feelings. I don't want revenge. I never wanted revenge. I just wanted to move on. And you have moved on. You're not responsible for fixing him. You're not responsible for his mental state or his living situation or any of it. Isaiah's voice was gentle but firm. Some people have to hit bottom before they figure out how to climb back up. And they have to do that climbing themselves. You're right. I know you're right. Simone took a deep breath. Thank you for being rational when I'm having feelings about this. That's what husbands are for. Well, that and reaching high shelves. Simone laughed despite herself. I'll see you tonight? I'll bring dinner. Your choice. That evening, Isaiah showed up with Thai food and a plan. I talked to Patricia. She's filed for a restraining order based on the parking garage incident. It should be approved within a few days. Is that necessary? Yes. Because Trevor's behavior is escalating. Today it's living in a garage. Tomorrow it could be something worse. Isaiah set out the food. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I am trying to protect you. Let me do that. Simone nodded. He was right. Trevor's behavior had crossed from annoying to concerning. Okay. Restraining order it is. They ate dinner and watched a movie, Isaiah's arm around Simone's shoulders the entire time. When they finally headed to bed, she paused outside her door. Would you stay with me tonight? I don't want to be alone. Of course. Isaiah followed her into her room and they lay down together on top of the covers, fully clothed. He held her until she fell asleep, his presence a comfort against the unsettling reality of Trevor's downward spiral. In the morning, Simone woke to find Isaiah already awake, watching her with soft eyes. Hi, he said quietly. Hi. Have you been awake long? A while. I like watching you sleep. That's probably creepy. Only slightly. Simone stretched, feeling more rested than she had in days. Thank you for staying. Anytime. Literally anytime. Isaiah kissed her forehead. Ready to face another day of being a power couple? With you? Always. The restraining order against Trevor was approved 3 days later. Patricia had it served to the last known address on file, though there was no guarantee Trevor actually received it given his apparent homelessness. Still, it provided legal protection if he attempted contact again. Life returned to normal. Or as normal as it could be when you were the wife of a billionaire CEO and rising star in the marketing world. Simone threw herself into her work, landing a major account with a national retail chain. Isaiah's company announced record profits, cementing his reputation as one of the most successful CEOs in the tech industry. They celebrated their 6-month anniversary with a weekend trip to a bed and breakfast in wine country. No business calls, no social media, just 2 people enjoying being together. They toured vineyards, had long dinners, and talked about the future in a way they never had before. I want kids someday, Isaiah admitted one evening over wine on their private balcony. Not right now, but eventually. Is that something you want? Simone thought about it carefully. I think so. I always thought I'd be a mother, but Trevor kept saying we weren't ready. Now I wonder if he just didn't want kids with me. His loss. You'd be an amazing mother. Isaiah took her hand. We don't have to figure it out today. Just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. We are. About a lot of things, actually. Yeah. Isaiah smiled. We really lucked out with this arrangement. Still calling it an arrangement? Force of habit. What should I call it? How about just calling it what it is? A marriage. A real one. I can do that. Isaiah leaned over and kissed her. I love you, you know. I've been waiting for the right time to say it, but there's never going to be a perfect moment. So I'm just saying it now. I love you, Simone Bennett. Simone felt tears prick at her eyes. I love you too. I think I have for a while now. They spent the rest of the weekend in a happy bubble, newly acknowledged love making everything feel fresh and exciting. When they returned to the city, Simone felt invincible. She had a husband who loved her, a career she was passionate about, a life that felt genuinely hers. But that feeling shattered on a Tuesday afternoon when her assistant buzzed her office with panic in her voice. Mrs. Bennett, I'm so sorry, but Trevor Hayes just got past security and he's on his way to your floor. Building security is trying to catch him but... Simone heard shouting in the hallway. Trevor's voice, slurred and angry. Where is she? Where's Simone? She can't hide from me forever. Her office door burst open before she could even stand. Trevor stumbled in, looking worse than the security photos had suggested. His clothes were filthy, his face covered in patchy stubble, his eyes wild and bloodshot. He looked like he hadn't bathed in days. Finally, Trevor said, advancing toward her desk. You've been avoiding me. That's not nice, Simone. We need to talk. You need to leave. There's a restraining order. Simone grabbed her phone, her heart racing. Security is on their way. Screw the restraining order. Screw security. Screw your billionaire husband. Trevor's words were running together. He was drunk or high, possibly both. You owe me a conversation after what you did. What I did. You cheated on me. You left me for another woman. You mocked me at Rachel's baby shower. I didn't do anything to you. You got rich and successful and threw it in my face, Trevor spat. You married that pompous jerk just to make me look bad. You're living in a penthouse while I'm sleeping in my car. How is that fair? Life isn't fair, Trevor. You made your choices. I made mine. Security burst through the door, 3 large men who immediately moved to restrain Trevor. He fought them, still shouting. This isn't over, Simone. You can't just abandon me. I made you who you are. Without me, you'd still be nobody. Sir, you need to come with us, the lead security guard said, his voice calm but firm. You're in violation of a restraining order. As they dragged Trevor toward the door, he turned back one last time. I loved you, he said, and for a moment the anger dropped away, revealing genuine pain underneath. I really loved you and you replaced me like I never mattered. Then he was gone, his shouts echoing down the hallway as security escorted him to the elevator. Simone sank into her chair, shaking. Her assistant appeared in the doorway, pale and frightened. Are you okay, Mrs. Bennett? Should I call someone? Call my husband. And the police. Trevor violated the restraining order. The next hour was a blur of activity. Police arrived to take statements. Isaiah burst into her office 20 minutes later, having left an important meeting the moment he got the call. He pulled Simone into his arms, holding her tightly while she finally let herself cry. I'm so sorry, Isaiah kept saying. I should have been here. I should have protected you better. You couldn't have known he'd do this. No one could have predicted it. But even as she said it, Simone realized they should have seen it coming. Trevor's behavior had been escalating. The parking garage incident should have been a clearer warning sign. Now he'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. The police arrested Trevor when they found him still in the building lobby, ranting at security. He was charged with violating a restraining order, trespassing, and creating a public disturbance. Because he was intoxicated, they also brought him in for evaluation at a psychiatric facility. He'll probably get mandatory counseling and rehab, the officer explained to Simone and Isaiah at the police station. First offense on the restraining order violation, and given his apparent mental health crisis, the judge will likely focus on treatment over punishment. I don't want to press charges, Simone said quietly. I just want him to get help and leave me alone. Unfortunately, Mrs. Bennett, this isn't up to you. He committed crimes. The state will prosecute regardless of your wishes. The officer was sympathetic but firm. The best thing you can do is cooperate with the investigation and let the legal system handle it. Isaiah drove them home in silence. Simone could feel his anger radiating off him, carefully controlled but present. Say it, she finally said as they pulled into the parking garage of their building. Say what? Whatever you're thinking. I can tell you're furious. I'm furious at myself, Isaiah admitted, turning off the engine. I promised to protect you and I failed. He got to you. He scared you. And I wasn't there. Isaiah, you can't be with me every second of every day. And you didn't fail. You came immediately when I needed you. You've been supporting me through all of this. Simone unbuckled her seatbelt and turned to face him. Trevor is responsible for Trevor's actions. Not you, not me. Just him. I know. Intellectually, I know that. But emotionally? Isaiah gripped the steering wheel tightly. I want to track him down and make him pay for every moment of fear he's caused you. That's sweet in a slightly concerning way. Simone touched his arm. But I need you to be rational, not vengeful. Can you do that for me? Isaiah took a deep breath and nodded. Yes. For you I can do that. Upstairs in the penthouse, Simone changed into comfortable clothes while Isaiah made tea. They curled up on the couch together, Simone's head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat slow from its racing pace. I want to hire you a personal security detail, Isaiah said. That's excessive. It's necessary. Trevor proved today that building security isn't enough. I need to know you're safe when I'm not with you. Simone wanted to argue, to insist she didn't need a bodyguard. But the fear she'd felt seeing Trevor burst through her office door was still fresh. Okay. But someone discreet. I don't want it to be obvious. Done. I'll have someone in place by tomorrow. They spent the evening in quiet companionship, both processing the day's events. Isaiah ordered dinner but neither of them ate much. Eventually they gave up and went to bed early, Isaiah holding Simone close as she finally let herself fall apart. I hate that he still has this power over me, she sobbed into Isaiah's chest. I hate that seeing him scared me. I hate that I felt sorry for him even though he terrorized me. I hate all of it. You're allowed to feel complicated things about him. He was your husband for 7 years. That doesn't just disappear because he turned out to be a terrible person. Were there signs? Did I miss red flags? Probably. But that's not your fault. People like Trevor are good at hiding who they really are until they don't need to hide anymore. Isaiah kissed the top of her head. And none of his actions reflect on you or your judgment. He fooled a lot of people, not just you. The next morning, Simone woke to find Isaiah already gone. A note on his pillow read, had to go to office early but didn't want to wake you. Your security detail's name is Nina. She'll introduce herself when you're ready to leave. I love you. Nina turned out to be a compact woman in her 30s with sharp eyes and a warm smile. Former military police, now working private security for high-profile clients. She was professional but not intimidating, dressed in business casual clothes that allowed her to blend in seamlessly. I'll be with you whenever you're in public, Nina explained over coffee in the penthouse. At work, I'll be stationed outside your office. When you travel, I travel. My job is to be invisible until I'm needed. And if Trevor shows up again? He won't get within 10 feet of you. I promise. Nina's expression was confident. I've dealt with stalkers and ex-partners before. I know how to handle them. Having Nina around was strange at first, but Simone quickly adapted. True to her word, Nina was nearly invisible, always present but never intrusive. At the office, employees barely noticed her. At lunch meetings or events, she maintained a discreet distance. The legal proceedings against Trevor moved forward. His lawyer contacted Patricia to discuss a plea deal. Trevor would plead guilty to violating the restraining order and accept mandatory psychiatric treatment, in exchange for reduced charges. Patricia advised Simone to accept. It gets him help and keeps him away from you for at least a year, Patricia explained during a conference call. If he violates the order again after that, the consequences will be much more severe. Simone agreed. This wasn't about punishment. It was about protection and hopefully Trevor getting the help he clearly needed. 3 weeks after the office incident, Simone received a letter. It had been screened by security and forwarded through Patricia to ensure it wasn't a threat. The return address was a psychiatric facility. Dear Simone, it began. I'm writing this as part of my treatment. My therapist says I need to take accountability for my actions without expecting forgiveness. So here it is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cheating on you. I'm sorry for treating you badly during our marriage. I'm sorry for mocking you at Rachel's baby shower. I'm sorry for stalking you and violating the restraining order and scaring you at your office. You didn't deserve any of it. You were a good wife and I was a bad husband and I blamed you for my own failures. I'm working on understanding why I did those things and how to be better. I don't expect you to respond to this letter. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed to say it. I hope you're happy with Isaiah. You deserve to be happy. Trevor. Simone read the letter 3 times, unsure how to feel. It seemed genuine, but Trevor had seemed genuine before. She showed it to Isaiah. What do you think? I think he's starting to get help. Whether it sticks remains to be seen. Isaiah handed the letter back. How do you feel about it? Relieved maybe? Like there might actually be an end to all this drama. Simone folded the letter carefully. I'm not going to respond. But I'm glad he's in treatment. That's very mature of you. More mature than I could be in your position. Life slowly returned to normal. Nina became a familiar presence, eventually more friend than bodyguard. Simone's work continued to flourish, with 2 more major accounts signing on. Isaiah announced an expansion of Bennett Industries into international markets, a move that would cement his legacy in the industry. 6 months after the office confrontation, Simone and Isaiah attended a charity gala together. They'd become regulars at these events, known for their generous donations and genuine partnership. That night, Simone wore a stunning red gown that made Isaiah unable to stop staring at her. You're going to cause a scandal looking at your wife like that, Simone teased as they danced. Let them talk. I'm allowed to appreciate my beautiful wife. As they swayed to the music, Simone reflected on how far she'd come. A year ago, she'd been mocked at a baby shower, crying in an elevator, convinced her life was over. Now she was dancing with a man who loved her, working a job she was passionate about, living a life she'd built for herself. Trevor's letter had been right about one thing: she did deserve to be happy. And finally she was. 8 months into their marriage, Simone and Isaiah had settled into a rhythm that felt less like an arrangement and more like destiny. They finished each other's sentences during business meetings. They had inside jokes that made no sense to anyone else. They'd stopped sleeping in separate rooms without ever actually discussing the transition. It just happened naturally one night when Isaiah fell asleep in Simone's bed and neither of them wanted to move. But there was still one piece of the puzzle that Simone couldn't quite figure out. Isaiah was the perfect husband in every way that mattered, but there was something he held back. A wall she couldn't quite breach. She'd catch him sometimes, staring out the window with an expression she couldn't read, or getting quiet in a way that suggested deep thought rather than comfortable silence. They were on a business trip to Seattle, attending a tech conference where Isaiah was the keynote speaker. Simone had come along to network and support him, plus they'd planned to stay an extra few days to explore the city together. It was their first real vacation that wasn't immediately following the wedding. Isaiah's speech was brilliant as always. He talked about innovation and leadership, about taking risks while maintaining stability, about building companies that change the world. Simone watched from the audience, proud of the man she'd somehow ended up married to. After the speech there was a reception. Simone mingled with other marketing professionals while Isaiah worked the room. She was deep in conversation with a woman from a rival firm when she felt Isaiah's hand on her lower back. Sorry to interrupt, but I need to steal my wife, Isaiah said with his public smile firmly in place. Emergency phone call from the office. Once they were alone in a quiet hallway, Isaiah's expression changed. He looked shaken. What's wrong? Simone asked immediately. There's no emergency phone call. I saw someone at the reception. Someone I haven't seen in 10 years. Isaiah ran his hand through his hair, a gesture he only made when truly stressed. My ex-fiancé. The one who left me. Oh. Simone felt a pang of something she didn't want to name. Do you want to go back to the hotel? No. Yes. I don't know. Isaiah looked at her helplessly. I wasn't prepared to see her. To feel whatever I'm feeling right now. What are you feeling? Honestly? I have no idea. It's been 10 years. I thought I was over it. I am over it. But seeing her just brought everything back. Isaiah took Simone's hands. Can we just go? I'll send apologies to the organizers. I just need to not be here right now. They took a car back to their hotel in silence. Simone wanted to ask questions to understand what was happening in Isaiah's head, but she knew him well enough to recognize when he needed space to process. In their hotel suite, Isaiah poured himself a drink and stood by the window overlooking the city. Her name is Lauren, he finally said. We met in grad school. She was brilliant, funny, ambitious. Everything I thought I wanted. We dated for 3 years, got engaged, planned the whole wedding. Then 3 weeks before the ceremony, she called it off. Why? She said I was married to my work. That I didn't have room in my life for a real relationship. That she could see our future and it was her alone while I built my empire. Isaiah took a long drink. She wasn't wrong. I was obsessed with getting Bennett Industries off the ground. I worked 18-hour days. I canceled dates. I forgot her birthday twice. Simone moved to stand beside him at the window. But you changed. You're not that person anymore. Aren't I? Isaiah turned to face her. Simone, we got married as a business arrangement. I offered you a job and a marriage to fix both our problems. That's not exactly romantic. It wasn't romantic at first. But it became real. Did it? Or did we just convince ourselves it was real because it was convenient? Isaiah set down his glass. Seeing Lauren today made me question everything. What if I'm still that same person, just better at hiding it? What if I can't actually do this, the real marriage thing? Simone felt panic rising in her chest. Where is this coming from? We've been happy. Haven't we been happy? We have. But is it enough? Is being happy and compatible the same as being in love? Because I told you I loved you and I meant it. But seeing Lauren made me realize I don't know if I've ever actually been in love. Not the way people in movies are. Not the all-consuming, can't live without you kind. Those movies aren't real life, Isaiah. Real love is what we have. Partnership, respect, genuine affection. That matters more than dramatic declarations and grand gestures. Does it? Isaiah looked at her with such vulnerability that Simone wanted to cry. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. You deserve someone who's completely certain. Someone who doesn't question whether they're capable of the kind of love you deserve. And I don't know if I'm that person. So what are you saying? You want a divorce? No. God, no. I'm saying I need to be honest with you about my doubts. About the fact that I might have proposed this arrangement because I knew it was safe. Because I knew I wouldn't have to risk getting hurt again if we kept things businesslike. Simone sat down on the couch, her legs suddenly weak. But we stopped keeping things businesslike months ago. I know. And that terrifies me. Isaiah sat beside her. What if I fail you? What if Lauren was right and I'm not capable of putting someone else first? What if 10 years from now you realize you've wasted your life with someone who can't give you everything you deserve? Stop. Simone took his face in her hands, forcing him to look at her. Isaiah Bennett, you listen to me. You are not your ex-fiancé's opinion of you. You're not the man you were 10 years ago. You've shown me every single day that you're capable of partnership, of love, of putting someone else's needs alongside your own. Have I? Or have I just been playing a role? Do you think I've been playing a role? Simone challenged. Do you think my feelings for you aren't real? No, of course not. Your feelings are genuine. I know that. Then why are you so convinced yours aren't? Because one woman from your past showed up at a conference. Simone felt anger mixing with fear now. That's not fair to what we've built together. Isaiah was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. I'm scared, Simone. I'm scared of hurting you. I'm scared of becoming the person Lauren said I was. I'm scared that I talked you into this marriage for selfish reasons and you're going to wake up one day and realize you made a mistake. I didn't make a mistake. And neither did you. Simone moved closer, wrapping her arms around him. But I need you to be honest with me. Do you want to be in this marriage? Not because it's convenient or good for business or because we've already committed. Do you actually want to be with me? Yes. Absolutely yes. That's the one thing I'm certain about. Then that's what matters. Everything else we figure out together. Simone pulled back to look at him. But Isaiah, if you need time to process seeing your ex and what it brought up, I can give you that. I can give you space. I don't want space. I want to stop being afraid. Isaiah kissed her forehead. I want to trust that what we have is real and lasting. I want to believe I'm capable of being the husband you deserve. You already are. You just need to believe it yourself. They spent the rest of the evening talking through everything. Isaiah's relationship with Lauren, how it had ended, the ways he'd changed since then. Simone shared her own fears about being in a relationship again after Trevor, about whether she could ever fully trust someone not to hurt her. I think, Simone said as they lay in bed that night, we're both bringing baggage from our past relationships into this one. And we need to stop letting that baggage define our present. Easier said than done. Most worthwhile things are. Simone echoed the words Isaiah had said to her months ago. But I'm willing to work on it if you are. I am. I really am. Isaiah pulled her closer. I'm sorry for the freak out. Seeing Lauren just threw me. Did you talk to her? No. I saw her across the room and panicked. Very mature of me. Want to know what I think? Simone propped herself up on her elbow. I think you should talk to her. Get closure or clarity or whatever you need. Because running away and then having an existential crisis isn't healthy for you or us. You want me to talk to my ex-fiancée? I want you to stop carrying her ghost around. And the only way to do that is to face her. Simone kissed him softly. I trust you. And I trust us. Go talk to her tomorrow. Lay the past to rest so we can fully commit to our future. Isaiah looked at her like she was the most amazing person he'd ever met. How did I get so lucky? You crashed into me on a sidewalk. Or I crashed into you. The details are fuzzy. They made love that night, slow and deliberate, reassuring each other through touch what words couldn't quite convey. And when Simone woke the next morning, Isaiah was already up, dressed and clearly nervous. I found out she's speaking on a panel this morning. I'm going to go. Try to talk to her after. Isaiah was fidgeting with his tie. Are you sure about this? I'm sure. Go. Get your closure. After Isaiah left, Simone ordered room service and tried not to think about what might be happening. She trusted Isaiah. She did. But that didn't mean she wasn't anxious about him meeting with the woman who'd once been his whole world. Isaiah returned 3 hours later, looking lighter somehow. More at peace. How did it go? Simone asked from where she sat curled up with a book. It was good, actually. Clarifying. Isaiah sat beside her. We talked for about an hour. She apologized for how she ended things, said she should have been more mature about it. And I apologized for being a terrible fiancé who put work above everything else. And she told me I seem different now. Happier, more balanced. She said whoever I'm with now must be good for me. Isaiah took Simone's hand. I told her about you. About how we met, about our marriage. She asked if I loved you. What did you say? I said yes. And I realized talking to her that I do. Really truly do. Not the same way I loved her, all dramatic and intense and ultimately unsustainable. But something steadier. Something real. Isaiah kissed Simone's hand. I love you, Simone. Not because it's convenient or because we're contractually obligated. But because you're the best thing that's ever happened to me and I can't imagine my life without you in it. Simone felt tears stream down her face. I love you too. So much. I'm sorry for doubting us yesterday. I'm sorry for letting an ex-girlfriend make me question everything we've built. Don't be sorry. Be present. Be here with me, fully committed to this marriage. Simone wiped at her tears. Can you do that? I can. I will. Isaiah pulled her into his lap, holding her close. No more doubts. No more wondering if this is real. It's real, Simone. We're real. They spent the rest of their Seattle trip actually enjoying themselves. No conferences, no business, just two people in love exploring a city together. They visited Pike Place Market, took a ferry ride, ate too much seafood, and laughed until their sides hurt at a comedy show. On their last night, walking back to the hotel after dinner, Isaiah stopped suddenly. What? Simone asked. I want to do this right. The proposal, I proposed a business arrangement before. I want to propose a real marriage now. He got down on one knee right there on the sidewalk, pulling out a small box. Inside was a stunning diamond ring, different from the one he'd given her for their arrangement. Simone Andrews Bennett, will you marry me? For real this time, no contracts or arrangements or business deals. Just you and me choosing each other every day for the rest of our lives. Simone was crying again, laughing and crying at the same time. Yes. Absolutely yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger alongside the original one. 2 rings for 2 proposals. One for the arrangement that brought us together, one for the love that keeps us together. People on the street were stopping to watch, clapping and cheering. Isaiah stood and kissed Simone in front of all of them, not caring who saw or what they thought. This was their moment, their truth, their real beginning. I have one condition, Simone said when they finally broke apart. Anything. No more doubting. No more questioning whether this is real or whether we're capable of love. We know the truth now. We choose each other. That's all that matters. Deal? Isaiah kissed her again. Let's go home, wife. Our real life is waiting. 1 year after their arrangement began, Simone barely recognized her old life. She'd been promoted to vice president of brand strategy at Bennett Industries, leading a department of 15 people. Her campaigns had won national awards. She was regularly invited to speak at industry conferences. Professional recognition she'd only dreamed about was now her reality. But more importantly, she was happy. Genuinely, bone-deep happy in a way she'd never experienced during her marriage to Trevor. Isaiah had thrown himself fully into their relationship after the Seattle trip. No more walls, no more holding back. They'd moved all of Simone's belongings into the master bedroom, symbolically ending the separation that had started their arrangement. They talked about having kids, about renovating the penthouse, about growing old together. Plans that felt real instead of hypothetical. One evening, Isaiah came home with an announcement. I got invited to speak at a CEO summit downtown next month. Big ballroom, fancy dinner, all the major players in tech and business. That's wonderful. You love those events. I do. But here's the thing. Isaiah sat beside her on the couch. The dinner is at the Grand Hotel. I looked up the event details. Trevor Hayes is listed as one of the servers. Simone felt her stomach drop. Trevor's working there? According to the employee roster, yes. He must have gotten a job thereafter. Isaiah trailed off delicately. After everything. Do you not want me to come? Simone asked, trying to hide her disappointment. She'd been looking forward to this event, a chance to network with industry leaders. No, I absolutely want you there. You're the VP of brand strategy for one of the most successful companies in the country. You've earned your seat at that table. Isaiah took her hand. I'm just warning you so you're not blindsided. And if you want to skip it, I'll understand. Simone thought about it for a long moment. A year ago, the thought of seeing Trevor would have sent her into a panic. 6 months ago, it would have made her anxious. Now she just felt indifferent. Trevor was part of her past, but he didn't define her present or her future. I want to go, she said firmly. I've worked hard to get to this point in my career. I'm not going to let Trevor's presence anywhere affect my choices. That's my girl. Isaiah kissed her forehead. We'll go together, have a great time, and if Trevor happens to be there, we'll treat him like any other staff member. Professional and polite. The night of the summit arrived. Simone wore a stunning emerald green gown that Isaiah had commissioned from a designer specifically for this event. Her hair was styled in an elegant updo, her makeup flawless. She looked and felt like the successful woman she'd become. You look incredible, Isaiah said as they prepared to leave. Every person in that ballroom is going to wonder how I got so lucky. Flattery will get you everywhere, Mr. Bennett. That's the plan, Mrs. Bennett. The Grand Hotel's ballroom was breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, round tables draped in white linens filled the space, and a stage at the front held a podium where speakers would present. Simone recognized several faces from business magazines and news articles. This was the top tier of their industry, and she had earned her place among them. Isaiah introduced her to colleagues and competitors alike. This is my wife, Simone Bennett. She's the VP of brand strategy at Bennett Industries and the genius behind our recent campaign successes. People were impressed, asking intelligent questions about her work, her approach to branding, her thoughts on market trends. Simone held her own in conversations that would have intimidated her a year ago. She'd grown into this role, into this version of herself. They were seated at a table near the front, a position of prominence. Throughout dinner, servers moved efficiently through the ballroom, delivering courses and refilling drinks. Simone didn't pay much attention to them at first, focused on the conversation at her table. Then she saw him. Trevor, wearing a white server's uniform, carrying a tray of salads. He looked better than he had during the office incident, clean and sober at least. But there was a defeated slump to his shoulders, a lack of confidence that was jarring compared to the arrogant man she'd once been married to. Their eyes met across the ballroom. Trevor froze, nearly dropping his tray. Simone held his gaze for a moment, then deliberately turned back to her conversation with the woman beside her, dismissing him as completely as if he were just another piece of furniture. It was the ultimate power move. Not acknowledging him at all. Trevor continued serving, moving through the tables mechanically. When he reached their table, assigned to serve their section, Simone felt Isaiah tense beside her. But she kept her expression neutral, polite but distant, as Trevor set a salad in front of her. Your first course, Trevor said, his voice strained. Thank you, Simone replied coolly, not meeting his eyes. Trevor hesitated as if wanting to say something more. But the head server was watching and he moved on to the next guest. Isaiah squeezed Simone's hand under the table. You okay? He whispered. Perfect, she whispered back, meaning it. The dinner continued. Isaiah's speech was brilliant, receiving a standing ovation. Afterward, people swarmed their table to congratulate him and continue conversations about potential partnerships. Simone fielded just as many questions, industry leaders interested in Bennett Industries' marketing strategies. Throughout it all, Trevor moved through the ballroom serving and clearing courses. Simone caught him watching her several times, his expression unreadable. Was it regret? Jealousy? Resignation? She didn't particularly care. This chapter of her life was closed. During dessert, Nina, who'd been stationed discreetly near the entrance, appeared at Simone's side. Mrs. Bennett, there's a situation. What kind of situation? Trevor Hayes approached me asking if he could speak with you privately. I declined on your behalf, but he's insistent. Says he just wants a moment to apologize properly. Simone glanced at Isaiah, who looked like he wanted to refuse on principle. But Simone found she was curious. What could Trevor possibly have to say now? And perhaps more importantly, she wanted to demonstrate that he held no power over her anymore. 5 minutes, she told Nina. In the hallway outside the ballroom. You stay visible, and if I give any signal at all, we're done. Simone, you don't have to do this, Isaiah said. I know. But I want to. This is my chance to close the book completely. She stood, smoothing her gown. I'll be right back. Trevor was waiting in the hallway, nervously shifting his weight from foot to foot. Up close, he looked older, worn down by whatever the past year had put him through. When he saw Simone approach, his eyes widened. Wow. You look amazing. You have 5 minutes, Trevor. What do you want? I wanted to apologize. Really apologize, not the mandated therapy letter. I see you now, successful and happy, and I realize what I threw away. Trevor's voice cracked slightly. I was a terrible husband. I blamed you for my own insecurities and failures. And I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. Okay. Apology noted. Simone kept her voice neutral. Is that all? I also wanted you to know that I'm working on myself. I'm sober 6 months now. In therapy 3 times a week. Got a decent job here at the hotel, working my way up from the bottom. Trevor looked at his feet. I'm trying to become someone I can be proud of, even if it's too late for us. I'm glad you're getting help. I really am. But you're right, it is too late for us. Simone softened slightly. Trevor, I forgive you. Not because you've earned it, but because carrying anger and resentment was exhausting. I forgive you and I've moved on. I hope you can do the same. I'm trying. It's just hard seeing you like this, so happy with him. Knowing I could have had that if I'd been different. You couldn't have had this with me, Trevor. Because I couldn't have been this person with you. Simone gestured back toward the ballroom. That woman in there, confident and successful? She exists because I left you. Because I stopped trying to be small enough to fit into your idea of who I should be. So I actually did you a favor by being a terrible husband? Trevor's laugh was bitter. In a weird way, yes. You taught me what I didn't want. What I wouldn't accept. And that made me recognize what I did want when it showed up. Isaiah Bennett. The Billionaire CEO. Pretty convenient upgrade. It's not about the money or the status. It's about being with someone who sees my value and encourages me to grow instead of trying to keep me limited. Simone checked her watch. Your 5 minutes are up. I need to get back to my husband. Simone, wait. Can I ask you one more thing? What? Are you happy? Like really happy? Because you deserve to be happy after everything I put you through. Simone considered the question seriously. Was she happy? She thought about her career, her friends, her beautiful home. About coming home to Isaiah every night, about their easy conversations and shared dreams. About the life she'd built for herself, brick by careful brick. Yes, she said finally. I'm happier than I've ever been. And I hope someday you find that for yourself too, Trevor. But you won't find it by dwelling on what you lost. Only by appreciating what you still have. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Trevor? This is the last time we speak. Please respect that. No more attempts to contact me, no more apology letters, no more anything. We're done. Completely and finally done. I understand. Goodbye, Simone. And congratulations. On everything. Goodbye, Trevor. Simone walked back into the ballroom with her head held high. Isaiah stood immediately when he saw her, concern written across his face. She slid back into her seat beside him and took his hand. All good? He asked quietly. All good. Better than good, actually. I got the closure I didn't know I needed. What did he say? He apologized. He's sober and in therapy and trying to get his life together. Simone squeezed Isaiah's hand. And I forgave him. Not for him but for me. Because I'm done carrying that weight around. I'm proud of you. Isaiah kissed her temple. That took courage. I learned from the best. Simone looked around the ballroom at all the successful people, at the life she was living, at the man beside her who loved her unconditionally. Isaiah, do you remember what Trevor said at Rachel's baby shower? About how I'd probably end up alone. Unfortunately, yes. He was wrong. I'm not alone. I have you, I have my career, I have friends who love me. I have everything I never knew I wanted. Simone turned to face him fully. Thank you for proposing that crazy arrangement. Thank you for giving me a chance to become this version of myself. You would have gotten here eventually with or without me. Maybe. But I'm glad I got here with you. Simone leaned in and kissed him, not caring who saw. Come on, let's go home. I've had enough of fancy parties for one night. They said their goodbyes and left the ballroom hand in hand. In the car ride home, Simone felt lighter than she had in years. She'd faced her past, said goodbye to it properly, and now she was free to fully embrace her future. Can I tell you something? Isaiah said as they rode the elevator up to their penthouse. Always. When I first proposed the arrangement, I thought I was helping you. Giving you an opportunity to rebuild after your divorce. Isaiah pulled her close. But you helped me just as much. You taught me how to be a real partner. How to let someone in. How to build something genuine instead of transactional. So we helped each other. That's what partnerships are supposed to do. In the penthouse, they changed into comfortable clothes and curled up on the couch with glasses of wine, recounting the highlights of the evening. Simone told Isaiah every detail of her conversation with Trevor, processing her feelings about the encounter. Do you think he'll actually change? Isaiah asked. I don't know. I hope so for his sake. But that's not my concern anymore. Simone took a sip of wine. I've spent too much energy caring about what Trevor does or thinks. I'm done with that. My energy goes toward building our life now. Our life, Isaiah repeated, smiling. I like the sound of that. Later, lying in bed, Simone thought about the journey that had brought her here. From crying in an elevator after being humiliated at a baby shower to this moment, secure and loved in every way that mattered. It had taken courage and risk and a willingness to try something completely unconventional. Isaiah? She whispered into the darkness. Oh, I'm going to tell Rachel the truth. About how we really started. The arrangement, the proposal, all of it. Isaiah was quiet for a moment. Are you sure? We agreed to keep it between us. I know. But Rachel's my best friend and I hate keeping secrets from her. And I think she'll understand. Maybe even appreciate the honesty. Simone rolled over to face him. Plus, our story is actually kind of romantic. Two people finding each other through unconventional means and building something real. It is romantic. In a weird, contract-based kind of way. Isaiah pulled her closer. Tell Rachel. Tell whoever you want. I'm not ashamed of how we started. I'm proud of where we ended up. The next day, Simone invited Rachel over for lunch. Her friend arrived with her daughter, now walking and getting into everything, full of energy and curiosity. So, Rachel said once her daughter was happily playing with toys in the living room, you said you had something to tell me. Simone took a deep breath and told her everything. The chance meeting that wasn't entirely chance, the proposal, the marriage arrangement, the gradual transformation from business partnership to real love. Rachel listened without interrupting, her expression shifting from surprise to understanding to something that looked like amusement. You're telling me, Rachel said when Simone finished, that you basically married a billionaire as a business deal and accidentally fell in love? When you put it like that, it sounds absurd. It doesn't sound absurd. It sounds perfect. Rachel laughed. Leave it to you to turn a contract into a love story. Most people can't even make actual romance work. You're not upset I kept it from you? Are you kidding? This is the most romantic thing I've ever heard. You both needed something, you helped each other, and you fell in love in the process. That's better than any meet cute. Rachel looked at Simone seriously. And you're happy? Really, truly happy? Happier than I ever imagined I could be. Then that's all that matters. However you got here, you're here now. And you deserve every bit of joy you've found. They spent the rest of the afternoon talking and laughing, watching Rachel's daughter terrorize the penthouse with her endless energy. It felt good to have everything out in the open, to share the full truth with someone who cared about her. That evening, Isaiah came home to find Simone cooking dinner, something she rarely did given their busy schedules and tendency to order takeout. What's the occasion? He asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. No occasion. I just felt like cooking for my husband. Simone leaned back against him. I told Rachel everything. She thought our story was romantic. She's a smart woman, your friend Rachel. She is. She also said we're invited to her daughter's second birthday party next month. She specifically said both of us, she wants you there. I'll be there. Wouldn't miss it. They ate dinner together, talking about their days, making plans for the weekend. Simple, domestic moments that felt more precious than any grand gesture. This was their life now. Not perfect, but real and solid and built on a foundation of mutual respect and genuine love. 6 months later, at Rachel's daughter's second birthday party, Simone found herself standing in the same venue where her life had changed a year and a half ago. The baby shower where Trevor had mocked her, where she'd run out crying, where she'd literally crashed into Isaiah on the sidewalk outside. This place brings back memories, Isaiah said, standing beside her and watching the party unfold. Good memories now, Simone replied. That was the day everything changed. Trevor wasn't there, though he'd been invited as Rachel's husband's friend. He'd politely declined, sending a gift with a note wishing them well. He'd kept his promise to respect Simone's boundaries, and she was grateful for it. Instead, the party was full of people who loved them, who celebrated their successes, who genuinely wanted them to be happy. Simone's mother was there, chatting with Gloria Bennett about grandchildren in a not-so-subtle way. Rachel glowed with happiness, her daughter the center of attention in a pink dress and tiny crown. You know what I'm thankful for? Simone said, taking Isaiah's hand. What? That day when I was running away from my problems, you were standing exactly where I needed someone to be. Like fate decided to give us both a second chance at happiness. I'm thankful for that too. And for your terrible aim. If you'd run into anyone else, who knows where we'd be now. Probably both miserable in our separate ways. Probably. Isaiah pulled her close. But instead we're here. Together. Happy. Building a life that's better than anything either of us imagined. Rachel appeared then, slightly frazzled from party hosting duties. Can you two stop being adorable for 5 minutes? You're making the rest of us look bad. Never, Simone laughed. We worked too hard to get here. We're going to be obnoxiously happy about it. Good. You've earned it. Rachel hugged them both. Now come help me cut this cake before the 2-year-old stage a revolt. As they moved to help with the party, Simone caught sight of herself in a mirror. She looked different from the woman who'd stood in this venue a year and a half ago. Confident, glowing, secure in herself and her place in the world. Trevor's words that day had been meant to wound, to make her feel small and worthless. No husband yet. Probably going to end up alone. He'd been wrong. She had a husband. The right one this time. A partner who enhanced her life instead of diminishing it. Success in her career. Genuine happiness. And the knowledge that she'd rebuilt herself into someone strong enough to deserve all of it. She'd gotten her revenge, though not in the way Trevor probably imagined. Not by making him jealous or proving him wrong through spite. But by building a life so full and rich and satisfying that his opinion had become completely irrelevant. That was the real victory. Not defeating Trevor, but outgrowing the need to defeat him at all. Isaiah appeared at her side again, offering her a slice of birthday cake. What are you thinking about? Just how far we've come. And how glad I am that I crashed into you that day. Best collision of my life. Isaiah kissed her softly. Here's to many more years of accidentally finding exactly what we need in each other. I'll drink to that. Simone clinked her water glass against his. Or eat cake to it, as the case may be. They rejoined the party, laughing and celebrating with people who loved them. And if anyone had asked Simone in that moment if she'd gotten her happy ending, she would have corrected them. This wasn't an ending. It was just the beginning of the rest of her life. A life she'd chosen, built, and earned. A life shared with a partner who saw her value and celebrated it every day. A life that was perfectly, imperfectly, wonderfully hers. And that was worth more than any revenge could ever be.